Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Abandoned and Becomes the Shinka Dorrigan with Leveling System movie. Before we start, please go support Albro13000 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. Prologue. Storyteller. Rubbing into nothingness itself, a dark brown-haired man with pale brown eyes is wearing a red zip-up sweatshirt underneath a black short-sleeved shirt, straight leg pants, and sneakers with red details. This person was Issei Hyoudou, 19 years old. Issei narrates. Well, here I am, after suffering an accident with a truck. By the way, hello, it's been more than 2 years since I last saw you. I've been going good, I guess. He lets out a sigh. Okay, things haven't been going well for me at all. I've had a bad time several times. It all started after having defeated Rizavum Live and Lucifer and his terrorist organization. The plan was for the faction leaders to be sealed with a Tira Hexa, but I gave my all, and with my power enhanced by several boosts, which I shared with the leaders and gods, me, along with Great Red and Office, we managed to seal the Dragon of the Apocalypse. While we were doing that, Volley fought with his grandfather Rizavum, winning and killing him in the process. After that, and having fallen into a coma for 3 months, I had married the people I loved the most: Rias Gremory, Akeno Himejima, Asia Argento, Kaneko TMJM, Zenobia Quarta, Ravel Phoenix, Gabriel, Irina Shidu and Serafo Leviathan. Although when I woke up I realized they were very distant from me, I didn't give it much importance. I didn't want to be the typical nosy boyfriend husband who seeks to control his partner 24/7. Little by little they distanced themselves from me. A year has passed since the sealing of the Trihexa. The girls and I spent less time with each other. They distanced themselves from me, although I am also to blame. I worked a lot, went on various missions with friends of mine, and some girls I know let out a sigh. I better leave that subject aside. I also spent time with a new friend, a Kiro Kaneki name completely invented at random, had arrived in the underworld about 9 months ago, turning out to be an old childhood friend of Ria's, having parents very close to those of my beloved. Time passes and that day came, the day I was abandoned by most of the people I know. My wives left me, verbally I divorced them, or well, they divorced me behind my back. I didn't even have a vote, they didn't even think about it, and they simply decided without consulting me. It didn't take them half a day to leave our home in the human world. Did I cry? Yes, I did cry, but my parents were there to comfort me. After that came my partner's abandonment, or at least I consider it an abandonment. I had suffered from a curse, the dragon fall. When a dragon's love is rejected, his partner leaves him or cheats on him, they enter a very serious emotional state, due to which it is not possible for him to have his power and control, and they begin to have a collapse, dying slowly by his own power. The curse advances slowly or quickly, depending on how emotionally wounded he or she is. And since I had many women, well, the result was obvious. I only had a few weeks of lives left. To live thousands and even millions of years. I only had a few weeks of lives because of some ungrateful ones. But then I had the great idea of asking Drake for help. The answer was the only way for you to stop going through that is for me to be transferred to another carrier. Damn underdeveloped lizard. I won't say more, and I'll just say that Akiro became Drake's new carrier. You might be wondering, what happened when the others found out? Nothing, no one did anything, although there were people who didn't accept it, they had no choice but to remain silent. Akiro became the new pillar of the alliance, since, why would an ordinary human be the pillar of the alliance? Yes, when Drake left I became a simple human, with nothing special. He took the power of Office and the flesh of Great Red, although his insentias never left me. I felt devastated again, I was comforted again by my parents, but I never told them the reason why my emotional state was declining again. I wanted them not to be linked to the supernatural world, and for that, they did not have to know anything about it. But with the advice and support of a few friends, people who didn't betray him from the supernatural and human world, I kept going. I wanted everything to go back to normal, but it wasn't possible, and I kept going, although I noticed the Kurokala Fae, Office and Roswas were looking for me to spend more time with me. Of course, they weren't the only ones. Gunu and Lilith, half of Office, also looked for me a lot, as did Kiba, Gaspar and Saji, as well as some friends and acquaintances at the Kuo Academy. While that was happening, I obviously, as a hairy-chested male, managed to raise my wings and fly out of the nest. Oh god, my mother almost tied me to a chair so I wouldn't leave the house, but my father helped me, and I managed to become independent from them. With greater freedom, I managed to start a new life, although it wasn't easy for me, I managed to get ahead and have a very stable life. I developed some new tastes, reading manga and playing a lot of video games. Obviously I wasn't going to be irresponsible and quit my job and studies. One of the mangas that I liked the most was Just Leveling, and another with a system about a sword that evolves in a terrible gangster game. RPG, among others, for example Ark, Doom Slayer, to let off steam. But I think that's over now. When When, trying to be a hero, I got in the way of a truck and a colleague of mine. And that's how I ended up here. Do you have any questions? And by the way, before you ask, yes, unfortunately I'm still a virgin. Storyteller. Issei would just let out a sigh and think about what he had done. Was he talking to nothingness as if there was someone there? Something strange, really, but he preferred to leave that aside and settle into the abyss. But in the distance, he would be able to see a glow, so looking more closely he would see that it was a blue diamond-shaped gem. It was translucent, and inside there was an orb of energy that shone in a light blue color. That's something you don't see every day, said Issei, seeing that the gem was approaching him. Once it was in front of him about 3 centimeters from his face. Issei would bring his hand to it, taking it in his left hand. It would shine more. Its shine would begin to illuminate the entire place, to the point that only the light blue color could be seen. Reality. Hey damn it, Issei said, getting up in an unknown place. At that moment a person would arrive in the room, looking at Issei in surprise. What the hell? The guy said in surprise. Let me guess, he was dead, right? Issei said, seeing a tag on one of his toes. He would just take it and throw it away from him calmly. Wait, I'll go get a doctor, said the subject before leaving the place, leaving an Issei alone, who let out a heavy sigh. This will be very troublesome, Issei said, and then he sat down on the stretcher he was on. Several days later. Issei was just leaving his parents' house with some suitcases. After, so to speak, being revived, Issei was verbally forced to temporarily live in his parents' house, where his mother was the one who took care of him the most, at the same time watching him. Even when he left the house, she was always accompanied by her mother. It was the same result for his friends, who visited him when they could, making sure he was okay and also accompanying him when he left the house. After several things that happened, Issei was finally able to return home. His parents were not at home, and his friends were busy. He thought he could go home quietly, but at that moment something landed on his shoulder, so turning around he would see that it was a completely black cat with golden eyes, but what stood out most about it was that it had 2 tails. Great, just what I needed. Now I'll have bad luck all day, said Issei mockingly, but the cat would bite his ear hard. Hey, that's enough, Kuroka. It was just a joke, said Issei, trying to get the aforementioned away from him. You better not do that again, Naya the yokai demon said in a pout, letting go of Issei's ear. Yes, I'm sorry, I won't repeat it again, Issei said with a smile, blushing Kuroka, which was not noticed by Issei. Why yeah, whatever. She calms down and clears her throat. As a reward you'll have to invite me to eat, Issei Naya Kuroka said without any shame and with surprise. Issei would only shake his head with a smile. Whatever you say, my lady Kuroniko, said Issei, making Kuroka angry for the simple nickname. App 1. See you later, Kuroka, Issei said to the yokai, who was in her normal form human cat. See you, Issei, Naya Kuroka said in a flirtatious and seductive way, making Issei blush slightly. After that, she gave him a kiss on the cheek and then disappeared into a magic circle. Issei blushed more at that and just shook his head in an attempt to calm down, which worked. After that he went to all the windows in his home, closed them and covered them with the curtains, put the key and locked every door there was. After all, that he turned off the lights and went to his room, where he closed and locked his door and closed and covered the window that was in it. Once that was done, he sat on his bed and directed his hand to the inside of his sweatshirt, taking something out underneath, showing that he was wearing a silver necklace. A chain went around his neck and joined a metal piece where the blue gem with the orb of light in the center was located. He looked at the necklace seriously until a voice echoed in his room. Ready to get stronger, new Shinka Dorrigan, said the emotionless voice of a young man throughout the place. No, he gets up from the bed. Look, I don't have the slightest idea why you chose me or what this dragon of evolution is, but I don't want to get strong. I don't want to go back to that stupid world of beings who think they are superior to humans, said Issei, annoyed, tearing off his necklace. The former Shinka Dorrigan Issei Hyoudou has been chosen to be Kenpachi's successor. Now it is your obligation to be the new Shinka Dorrigan, the voice responded without a doubt and at the same time without emotion. No, he shouted. I'm not going back to the supernatural world, Issei said, annoyed. He would open the window of his room and throw the necklace through it. When he was about to close it, the necklace was surrounded by a bluish aura and flew at great speed to Issei, hitting him in the forehead and throwing him to the floor. Shit, Issei exclaimed, rubbing his forehead, which had the color mark on it. I cannot accept that you refuse. I was created to find Kenpachi's successor. You, Issei Hyoudou, meet the characteristics requested by Kenpachi. Apart from the fact that you were the only one who found me in the abyss, said the voice without any emotion. Characteristics? What characteristics? Issei asked, annoyed, getting up from the ground. Then 1. Have some link or relationship with any of the different types of magic in the multiverse, or have knowledge about an energy related to the spiritual, and 2. Be or have been a dragon in the past and still retain its essentia, and 3. Having seen death in the face, and 4. Not being an arrogant prodigy or genius, but having a potential that allows him to adapt and strengthen quickly, and 5. Be determined and know how to value your own life, and 6. Be a virgin, and 7. Have suffered and not seek the death or destruction of everything that crosses your path, and 8. Be a being that can be given a new chance at life and a new life, and 9. Not be an idiot, bastard, son of a b, among others, and end 10. Have at least 234 of the 2749 characteristics that will be said below, the voice said, but would be interrupted by Issei. Okay, that's enough, I understand now, said Issei tiredly, holding the necklace in his hand. Okay, it's time to start your training, the voice said without emotion. Issei would only get angry. No, I do not accept being the successor of this Kenpachi, said Issei, putting the necklace in a drawer. After that he would throw himself on his bed to sleep. There will have to be a punishment for not starting his training, do you agree with that? Issei Hyoudou, the voice asked. Yes, whatever you want, he said. Stupid crazy conscience, Issei whispered with annoyance. Okay, you will be given about 6 hours to begin your training. If you do, you will be given 24 hours to finish it, but if you do not start it, the voice said, but Issei interrupted it. Yes, I understand, let me sleep, said Issei, covering his ears with his soul, which did nothing to silence the voice. Okay, said the voice, and then fell silent. 5:59 and 53 seconds hours later. Waking up after a nap, Issei stretched out on his bed for a few seconds and then sat on the edge of it. How long did I sleep? Issei asked himself. 5 hours, 59 minutes and 53 seconds, just enough for the punishment for not having trained, said the voice, bothering Issei, who would let out a sigh. Let's see what this punishment is about, Issei said, annoyed. At that moment he disappeared in a blue flash. What the hell, said Issei, falling to the ground in a forest, or rather in a jungle. The punishment for not having trained has begun. Issei Hyoudou, you must survive for 24 hours in this place, 6 hours in total in your homeworld, said the voice of the collar itself in the sky. A countdown timer appeared, 23:57 hours remaining. What, said Issei, scared. In the distance he would hear the stiffening of several beasts that only scared him more, so reacting quickly he would get up and start running. As he did so, a holographic panel appeared in front of Issei, marking the centimeters, meters, and future kilometers that he would travel. What is this? Issei asked nervously and scared. After having found you, I have analyzed your mind and memory in search of the best way to train you, and I have found this known as the gamer system, seen by you in manga, manhwa and webcomic, and I'm, among others, including the entertainment system known as video games, so I have decided that this would be the formation of your training, the voice responded without emotion. After that it would not sound anymore. Hey, there was no response, hey, but there was no response either, hey, dumb crazy voice, but no one came, curse, Issei shouted desperately. Fuck, Issei exclaimed from under some logs that left some openings, through which a scared Issei could see something passing by. After hearing a few more sides, whatever was hunting him retreated, thinking that his prey was not there. After waiting a few more minutes, Issei would come out of his hiding place. His condition was deplorable. He had several bruises, scrapes and slightly deep wounds, and some a little deeper. He had blood on some parts of his body, especially on his hands. The blood was both his and that of the beasts that inhabited the place where he was. Behind him he would hear some rustling, so quickly reaching into his hiding place, he would take out a very simple primitive weapon, a step with a large stone at one end, joined by one or more ropes. After 3 seconds and acting quickly, he would turn around and hit a wasp that measured 10 centimeters, has 2 arms with 2 blades on the elbows, 1 on each arm, with 3 sharp fingers on each side, and does not have any other limbs except the tail where it had its gigantic stinger. Behind the dead mutant wasp, there were 2 others that, with their 4 eyes, looked at what Issei had done. They would launch themselves to attack them, but they would see something that scared them, so they would turn around and flee. You have leveled up, a holographic panel that appeared in front of him warned. Ah, that's right, you stupid insects, Issei shouted euphorically, but one of them covered him, so turning around scared he saw that he was about to be devoured, but at that moment he disappeared in a flash of light blue. Oh my god, Issei exclaimed as he fell to the floor of his house. After that he would begin to cry with happiness at having luckily avoided his own death. You will be given 6 hours to begin your training, said the voice from the collar, but at that moment Issei would take it and then speak. 24 hours, Issei shouted desperately and scared. How? The voice asked, confused but still in its emotionless tone. 24 hours to do the training you ask of me, just give me 24 hours to spend those hours without completing the training, punish me or do whatever you want, just give me 24 hours and let me rest today, please, Issei asked with desperation in his eyes. Okay, you will be given 24 hours starting tomorrow, said the voice. After that Issei did not hear it again and just fell to the ground. Damn it, Issei said, waking up on the ground. Do you want to use status recovery? The voice asked Issei. Status recovery? Why do I ask, did you get that from leveling alone? Issei asked, getting up from the ground. That's right. Do you want to use status recovery? The voice asked again. Yes please, said Issei. At that moment a green aura ran through his body, healing his wounds and eliminating his fatigue and exhaustion, both mentally and physically. Wow, that really works, Issei added happily, but at that moment a hologram appeared in front of him. For leveling up and surviving the 24 hours in the punishment dimension, you will be given rewards. You have already obtained one of the 8, the first being status recovery, reported the voice in Issei's mind, still with its emotionless tone. Wow, just like solo leveling, Issei thought with a poker face watching the hologram. 1. State recovery. 2. 3 status points. 3. Random box. God, I want everything in status points, Issei said without thinking. Okay, you have obtained 21 status points, the voice informed. What a good service, Issei said with a smile. Now how do I use my status points? Issei asked. Think about what you need, the voice responded. Okay, Issei said. A hologram appeared in front of him that said his statistics. Level 7. Strength 5. Intelligence 9. Agility 4. Vitality 5. Senses 2. What the hell, Issei said in disbelief. There are fates worse than death, this is one, the voice said emotionlessly, but Issei felt like he was being mocked. Shut up, at least I'm not a psychopath, Issei said annoyed. Okay, said the voice. Well, this will take me some time, Issei said, narrowing his eyes. Level 7. Strength 10. Intelligence 14. Agility 6. Vitality 7. Senses 9. Ready, how about it? Issei asked with a smile. Not bad, but we have to leave that aside, since he has 19 hours to finish his training, the voice reported. Issei would only let out a sigh and then speak. And what is that training? Issei asked, bored. A hologram would appear in front of him, presenting him with several requirements. Push-ups, 0-150. Squats, 0-150. Abs, 0-150. Running, 0-20 kilometers. Hatred, Issei said, surprised. You are allowed to take breaks, as long as you meet the training requirements there will be no problem, the voice reported. That's good, Issei said with a smile. CH2. The first dungeon. You have received a random box, said a hologram in front of Issei, who had a small box in his hand. This one would open and show a green key next to it. So this is a dungeon key, Issei said, seeing the description of the key. Several weeks had passed since he was forced by the voice, or as he calls it the system, to accept being the successor of such Kenpachi the Shinka Dorrigan. Since then he had been exercising and fulfilling the requirements to complete his training each day, obtaining rewards, such as the recovery of state that he also obtained by going up every 5 levels, 3 state points or a random box. At the same time X points experience, and today he had chosen the box at random, and a key had come out of it. Okay, I'm ready now, but I need some equipment, Issei said, looking at his own stats. Level 18. Strength 15. Intelligence 19. Agility 14. Vitality 16. Senses 15. Haha, I stink, Issei said, looking at his stats. At least it's superior to the human being, said system, drawing Issei's attention. Yes, at least that's something, but anyway, I need equipment, at least a weapon, Issei said before going to the basement of his house. Once there, he would move some boards from the stairs and take something out of there. Ascalon the dragon-slaying sword. Everyone thought that when Drake changed his wielder, he took the sword with him, but Issei avoided that without the dragon noticing it to be more focused and amazed with his new wielder. Issei took advantage of that and kept it in a pocket dimension. Since I realize I can still use magic, I should expand my arsenal of spells, Issei said somewhat thoughtfully, but he would leave that aside, deciding to take care of it later. Well, according to your description I can use it anywhere, said Issei, seeing the key in his hand, the sword in a guitar case. He was in front of the basement door of his home. He would take the key to the lock of the door, putting it in there and turning it. Behind the door, there would be a blue glow, and then Issei would enter the room, seeing that it was now a labyrinth made of bricks, with some other medieval things like barrels, torches on the wall, some extinguished chests in the distance, and the occasional spiderweb or small dead animals. Which gave it a touch of desolation. Without him realizing it, the door disappeared, something he already had in mind. After that, without wasting time, he would take Ascalon out of the guitar case and prepare for the fight, which did not take long when something from the shadows jumped towards him. Issei blocked the monster's attack with his sword. After that he would kick it in the stomach, throwing it a few meters away from him. The name Top Luke's demon in black with red edges above the monster. Issei was scared by it, but it was not the time to get nervous and just getting serious, but with nervous breathing, he prepared for the battle next. Making sure that there was no other monster or being with his senses, which he confirmed that there was no more than 100 meters away. The top Luke's demon would launch himself at Issei, who was waiting for him, and blocked his attack again with his sword, but he himself attacked with his lower arms, hitting the brown-haired boy in the stomach, throwing him to crash against a wall and fall to the ground. He would turn to the right, avoiding the claws of the monster demon, which pierced the ground with ease. But Issei would be grabbed by the leg and thrown against another wall, damaging it most in the process, but Issei would not give up and would wait for the monster which was running towards Issei. He himself dodged a first claw attack that went through the wall, then dodged the second to drop to the ground. The same attack went through the wall. Issei turned around, then avoiding the third attack. The three were nailed to the wall and ground. Issei took advantage of that and quickly positioned himself behind the top Luke's demon, wielding Ascalon tightly with both hands. Issei would launch himself at the demon's back, sheathing the sword with his own energy, piercing the top Luke's demon. The same cry of pain, and Issei moved the sword upwards, cutting the monster until cutting the eye in its mouth, thus killing it. Issei would fall to the floor tired, being splashed by the light purple blood of the monster, but Issei ignored this, or rather he did not notice it, and just let himself fall completely to the ground tired, breathing heavily, looking at the ceiling of the place. "God, that was difficult," Issei said agitatedly. A hologram appeared in front of him, saying that he leveled up. "Congratulations, you've leveled up to X9," said the hologram. "Ah, I like that, it distributes the points in strength, agility and vitality," said Issei. The message disappeared and showed his status, showing his stats, strength, agility and vitality would increase. Issei would only smile at it. After that he would get up and lean against one of the walls, with the idea of resting a little. "How many hours out there are in here?" Issei asked, getting up and taking his sword. "Just like the punishment, 6 hours in his homeworld are 24 here," System replied emotionlessly. "Okay," he starts walking. "It will be better to finish this once and for all," Issei said seriously. His left eyes would shine in blue. In the distance he would hear the rigid of more top Luke's demons, which upon approaching him he would see their name, top Luke's demons, simply in red, without black, nor the threatening skulls. "Come on, you sons of hitches," Issei said before launching himself at the monsters, dodging one's attack and blocking another's before quickly turning and killing the first one that attacked him. After that he would kick the second one and cover the attack of another one, extending and holding the eye of this one quickly. He would tear out his eye, killing him instantly. After that he would roll on the ground, avoiding the attack of the second one, and then jump and cut it in half with Ascalon. I would level up again, but less now. I would put these same status points into the same stats as before, and then I would take care of raising the other stats. At that moment more top Luke's demons would arrive at the place. Issei would see them seriously and would just wait. The demons jumped to attack him, and he would just dodge them and quickly kill each of them, killing a total of 4. After that he would continue walking, exploring the place, until he reached a large room in it with a light in the middle. The path to the light and would stop in the middle. The door of the room would be closed, and several eyes began to appear around Issei, being the eyes of more top Luke's demons. Issei would only get more serious at that time after. "Oh god, this is a lot now," said Issei, surrounded by the corpses of top Luke's demons. In front of him a hologram that showed his status. Level, 41. Strength, 63. Intelligence, 19. Agility, 64. Vitality, 41. Senses, 15. HP, 136, 205. Each point in vitality is 5 more points of horsepower, just like in the other statistics. Jundo, 34, 95. Issei saw the word Jundo, which translated into Spanish meant purity, a type of energy different from or mana, or perhaps another type of vital energy around the multiverse. System reported that it was an energy created apart from others, pure or impure, from so many other worlds, universes and dimensions, modifying it and combining it with others, thus obtaining this one, which had no other name than the simplest in the world. Purity. I would have to change it in the future, said Issei, changing holograms and Pony, putting one that had the name inventory. Top Luke's Demon's Fangs, X396. Ascalon Sword Use, 99.989.998, 100.000.000. Bandages, X15. Top Luke's Demon's Eyes, X45. Escape Rune, X1. After that another hologram would appear next to the inventory that had the title store. 10 gold for each fang and 25 for each eye. At least they're of some use to me, said Issei, selling the eyes and fangs of top Luke's demons, earning 5,085 gold, with which he would buy life potions, spending 450 on 3. After that, he would take the 3 in a row, healing his horsepower completely. After that he would buy 2 potions to recover his energy. Taking them he would recover his 95 Jundo points. Well, it's time to move on, said Issei, getting up from the ground and starting to walk to the next door, opening it and meeting the one who would be the boss of the dungeon. Fukaiji-kuma. His name, black with a red border in capital letters, stood out even more when a gloomy aura surrounded the letters. The essence of the demon was disgusting and dark, although his hands shone with an aura of light, a light rotted by the power of sin. The Issei gate closed, the brown-haired boy prepared himself, and a hologram appeared before him. Ability, Speed Boost. Level 1. This skill increases the user's speed by 25%, for every minute that passes 15 Jundo points will be consumed. Issei dodged the Kikikuma's attack with difficulty and would stand next to the demon and then launch a slash with Ascalon, but a bat wing emerged from the demon's back, which covered Kikikuma from Issei's attack. This same jump back, but in less than 5 seconds the demon was already on the left side of Issei. He covered himself with his sword, avoiding the double scratch of the demon. He then launched his tongue which went to the exposed neck of the brown-haired boy, but holding his sword with one hand, he would hold the tongue of his enemy to then pull and attract him to him. In a quick movement with his sword he would cut off the tongue of the demon who roared with pain and then hit Issei with his left arm, throwing him against a wall of the room and then fall to the ground. He would quickly recover and roll on the ground, avoiding another attack from the demon which had a dark red aura around its body, its eyes completely red which at the same time shone brightly. The demon moved at great speed towards Issei, who could only block it with Ascalon, but he managed to notice that the demon now behaved more like an animal than a thinking being like before, which would be taken advantage of by the brown-haired boy. He could only block with his sword, but in itself, he only needed one hand for that, so blocking a double attack from the demon and momentarily locking it, Issei took advantage of the opening in the demon's defense and grabbed what was left of his tongue, using his own nails to hold him better. He would exert all his physical strength added to the plus obtained by enhancing his body with Jundo. He pulled the demon towards him and then pulled his sword down, decapitating him instantly. Issei was going to let himself fall, but he would see that Kikikuma was still moving, so kicking him would move him a few meters away from him. The demon's body would move for a few seconds and then fall dead to the floor. Now yes, Issei fell to the floor tired. A hologram appeared and showed his life. The fight could not do much, but he had lost more than 50% of his life. Each blow from the demon seemed strong but not lethal, but the reality was different. Issei felt the same pain when he was killed for the second time at the hands of Cao Cao. He'll sleep for a while, Issei said. A hologram appeared in front of him. He wants to leave the dungeon. But. No, Issei said before falling unconscious from fatigue. Let's see, he takes a dagger that is next to Kikikuma, a dagger that poisons whoever cuts it with a paralyzing or lethal poison, depending on what the user wants. Another rune to flee like a coward, a potion that decreases my strength but increases my vitality and senses, healing potions, well. He gets up from the ground. They are very useful to me, more when my intellect rises to use craft and infuse Ascalon in my new dagger, the poison of vitality and senses. I'll see what to do with that later, but now he turns to see Kikikuma. Your organs and other parts will be worth a lot in the store, said Issei with a smile, taking out Ascalon and his dagger. Kikikuma's tooth. App 3. Narrator. And this? Issei asked, taking out a completely black orb from Kikikuma's corpse. In the orb you could see the kanji of the sleeping warrior above the other larger kanji that said immunity of the snake. Skill orbs, enemies that Alan obtained some skill after becoming strong or having spent a lot of time spending life energy on it, can drop an orb like this. The beings of their world never noticed it, since the orb is made of the dead enemy's own blood, and when a supernatural being dies, their entire body turns into particles of light. System responded. Who would have thought, and how do I use it? Issei asked, looking at the sphere. It can't be used, but you can obtain the skills to break the sphere and absorb its energy. By doing so you will obtain the skills of Sleeping Warrior's Rage and Snake Immunity. System replied. Okay, Issei said after that he would squeeze the sphere, breaking it. A red and green aura would come out of it, which were absorbed by Issei. Ability, Sleeping Warrior's Wrath. The effect of this skill will activate when the user receives enough damage or causes enough damage. Once that is done, the user will be able to activate the effect of the skill, granting a 45% increase in the user's statistics, decreasing the senses and intellect temporarily. 5 horsepower will be lost for every minute, and 23 Jundo will be spent for every 2 minutes. Ability, Snake Immunity. Passive ability that will be active all the time, effect of various poisons, toxins, curses and or other things that infuse some effect that affects the user related to snakes and half-dragons, will not have any effect on the user, will not spend money at any time. Oh gosh, that interests me, Issei said with a smile, already knowing that he could use the poison bag he had without losing anything. He said he was leaving the dungeon. But. Yes, Issei answered without further ado. After that everything would begin to disappear as if it were a hologram, revealing that he was in his basement. Issei would let out a sigh and then leave there. He had to take a bath and eat something. He hadn't eaten anything after a whole day, and he was very hungry, so preparing something in the kitchen he left it cooking. He went downstairs and took off his clothes and then started taking a bath. You have completed your first dungeon, you will be allowed to use the status points previously obtained in each day's training system, informed Issei. Finally, just distribute them, I want some stability in my stats, said Issei. System would listen. Level, 41. Strength, 63. Intelligence, 41. Agility, 64. Vitality, 46. Senses, 39. HP, 230. Jundo, 205. HMNP, I should increase vitality and intelligence more, Issei thought analytically. Time after. Well, now how did he explain this? Issei asked himself as he looked in the mirror. His body was more toned, developed and defined, the flaws in his own body had vanished, now having a more mature and handsome body. It's been months since he last saw someone, the only person he saw was the Nekomata variant, his other acquaintances have been busy these months, system reported. Yeah, good point, maybe I should go with my parents, Issei said, leaving the bathroom and going to his room where he would change clothes and go to the front door of his home. But before leaving he would take something out of his mind. I almost forgot about you, said Issei with the poison potion in hand. After that he would consume it, his vitality and senses would increase, and his strength would remain the same. It works, said Issei when a hologram appeared in front of him, informing that the snake immunity ability had neutralized the negative effect of the poison. After that, Issei would leave his house and go to his parents' house on foot. Their house, although far from the brown-haired boys, was not a problem for him to go from his house to his parents' house. Talk talk talk. I'm coming, said Mickey, Issei's mother, going to the front door of her house. Upon arriving, she would open it and find a boy with pale brown eyes and dark brown hair just like her. The boy was really handsome, and he gave off a slightly dangerous and serious aura. Hello sir, what can I help you with? Mickey asked with a friendly smile. The boy would just smile and then talk to you. You really don't remember your own son, Mom, said Issei. Mickey would recognize his voice although it was more mature. Issei? Mickey asked in surprise. If that same one, Issei answered, smiling kindly. The aura of danger would disappear, and at that moment Mickey would recognize it perfectly. Son, my child, but what happened? Mickey asked, holding Issei by the shoulders, analyzing him better. Haha, well it seems I had a growth spurt, said Issei, somewhat nervous because of his mother's gaze. I see, Mickey whispered. I thought a man couldn't believe it, but whatever, come in, your father and I were about to go to your house, it's good that you came here, hehe, Mickey said, letting her son inside her home, and then closing the door. And where is Dad? Issei asked without seeing his father. He was getting ready to go to your home, wait a moment, I'll go get him, Mickey replied, going to the room she shares with her husband. Well, I think it's time for me to go, said Issei while standing with his parents at the front door. They would only say goodbye to him. His father with a handshake and a hug, and his mother with a hug and a kiss. After that Issei would be walking through the streets of his city. He had bought some sweets and took some and spread them to his left. Do you want some? Issei asked. The sweets would be taken by small hands. Thanks, Issei. Odo-san. Office and Lilith thanked the brown-haired boy. Office. Lilith. You're welcome, Issei said while eating some sweets. And what do you plan to do? Office asked Issei. Go home, Issei replied calmly. So, why Ascalon and that other weapon? Office asked, not believing the brown-haired boy's answer. Okay, I'll go hunt down some renegades, but leaving that aside, how did you know? Issei asked, looking at the black-haired girl who smiled and pointed accusingly at Issei. You have the Dragon Slayer's powers in your body, and I feel something else that I suppose is a weapon, or am I wrong? Office asked, winking with her right eye. It seems he couldn't sense the escape runes, Issei thought, and then spoke. Not bad, and you weren't wrong in answering, Issei said with a smile. Ah-san, what is that? Lilith asked, pulling on the Office shots a little, drawing the attention of the aforementioned. Issei and Office would turn to see Lilith, who was pointing to an ice cream shop. You never showed him the ice cream? Issei asked Office. I never had time, Office replied. You have all the time in the world, in your mind you have nothing important to do but curl up and float infinitely in the dimensional rift, Issei said with a poker face. Good point. He takes Lilith's hand and starts walking towards the ice cream shop. You pay for the ice cream, Office said to Issei. Okay, Issei said, knowing that the two dragons didn't have any money. See you, Issei, Odo-san said Office and Lilith at the same time. See you later, Issei said with a smile. After that both dragons left the place through a magic circle. After that he would begin to walk again. With his enhanced senses he could feel the aura and familiar presence of his favorite teacher, so increasing his speed, Issei would arrive at his house meeting his beloved class teacher Roswis. Hello, Valkyrie of the 100 yen shops, Issei greeted with a smile. Hey? She exclaimed, surprised and confused. Sorry, but who are you? Roswis asked, confused seeing Issei. Really? You two, Ross? Why were only Office and Lilith the only ones who recognized me? Issei asked in a depressed manner. Who is this guy? And how does he know those names? Roswis thought seriously, looking cautiously at Issei. He lets out a sigh and turns to look at Roswis, but whatever, feel my aura and presence and you will realize who I am, said Issei. Roswis would do that, realizing something. Is Issei? Pregunto Roswis sorprendida. That's right, Issei replied with a smile to the Valkyrie, who blushed a little. But what happened to you? Roswis asked, confused and nervous, trying to get a better look at the young man in front of her. This is good, I just had a little growth spurt, Issei replied calmly. Can men keep growing after 19? Roswis asked, confused. Ross just turned 20 about 3 hours ago. As I realize it's already past 12, why are you here? Issei asked, tilting his head in confusion. Well, she lets out a sigh, and her expression changes to a serious one. I came here to talk about your absence from the academy. Kuo, I came earlier, but she wasn't there, so I left and came back later, but she still wasn't there. And well, Roswis said, but she would get a little nervous at the end, which is why she couldn't continue talking. You worry about me, so you've been coming back here several times, and when you came back and saw that I wasn't there, you were about to break down my door and come in, or was I wrong? Issei asked with a smile. Why yes, Roswis replied, blushing. Well, that's about it. I've been busy with several things, I've had problems with some things, but I've already solved them, Issei responded, looking away from the silver-haired girl. Issei. Please tell me you're not into something, Roswis asked seriously. Calm down, I'm not up to anything, I swear, Issei replied, raising his hands and trying to calm her down. Roswis would just let out a sigh and then speak. You better, said Roswis seriously. Okay, Issei said. Roswis didn't say anything after that. Issei didn't say anything either, feeling uncomfortable with the awkward silence. Do you want to come to my house for a drink, or are you going to go to your house to sleep? Issei asked Roswis, exalting her since she was distracted analyzing Issei's new appearance. Why yeah, well, I mean, clear his throat. I'll go home, see you later to celebrate your birthday, said Roswis, calming down. Okay, see you later, Ross. Issei said goodbye. The silver-haired girl would do the same and then leave the place. Issei would just enter his house and make several holograms appear in front of him. Seeing his status. Hey system, is there a way to gain more points to raise a status? I don't know how to gain more than 15 horsepower to raise a point in vitality. Issei asked the system. There is, but you need to do a quest for that, system responded. Is it possible? He asked, surprised, then calmed down. Whatever, I'd like to do it, Issei said seriously. To do it you need to be at least level 50, system responded. Issei would only let out a sigh. Well, if things are like this, I have no choice but to level up, said Issei, taking out his dagger and looking at it. For a moment his left eye would shine in a light blue color for a second. A group of renegades could be seen in an abandoned building. They were surrounded by the corpses of humans. At that moment a noise would catch their attention. Something was being pink against the wall of one of the hallways. The renegades would turn to look and see a hooded man with a dagger, which was being passed along the wall. They were confused, but then they became happy to see that they would have another prey that night. Unfortunately for them, a flash of light blue would be the last thing they would see. Congratulations, you have risen to level 43, said a hologram in front of Issei, who was sitting on the corpse of a renegade demon. In the distance he would hear the police sirens. Apparently the noise of their fight caught the attention of some, but he did not care. He just got up and started walking, putting on the hood of his black sweatshirt, but before leaving, he would turn to see the corpses of the renegades, seeing that they did not become particles of light in itself. The supernatural beings should become particles of light to die. In that way they prevent their body from falling into dangerous hands and prevent humanity from discovering their existence. But the renegade supernatural beings were something else. They preferred to leave that rule of Sado, so when one died their body still remained on the earthly plane. To avoid the discovery of the supernatural, the body of the renegade was completely destroyed. A shame that Issei was not going to do that. After all, why would he do it? It wasn't his problem. He was a simple human who was not associated with any faction. Apart, this would be a small revenge for having been exchanged for someone who had done nothing for anyone, in exchange for him who did everything he could for them, sacrificed his own life, his mental and physical integrity, all to then be discarded like garbage. Issei just smiled lightly. Good luck, supernaturals, said Issei. Had his right eye closed and his only eye open, the left one shone brightly. After that he would leave the place. App 4. Start of the status quest. Level, 63. Strength, 88. Intelligence, 66. Agility, 89. Vitality, 71. Senses, 65. HP, 355, 355. Jundo, 330. I'm already level 63, it's time to ask for the quest to earn more points, Issei thought. He was at the top of a building. Several holograms with their various titles were in front of him. His brown eyes shone in a light blue tone. It had been more than a week since Issei started hunting down renegades, although that was Ria's and Sona's job, neither of them, or at least Ria's, did not do her homework. Sona did it, but not very often, apart from the fact that she did it for another area of the city, while Ria's, he didn't have the slightest idea what happened to her. After their divorce, neither of them said a word to each other. They didn't see each other either, even Issei being the red-haired girl's pawn. She never called him for anything or anything like that. She had really distanced herself from all of her. Whatever Issei said without any interest as he approached the edge of the roof, then activated one of his abilities. Ability, Speed Boost. Level 2. This skill increases the user's speed by 50%. For every 5 minutes that pass, 15 Jundo points will be consumed. After that, Issei would go from roof to roof, jumping and running at high speed, until he reached his house. It was not yet midnight, and he would have plenty of time since tomorrow would be Sunday. Inside his house, Issei would go to a quiet place in his house, eat something, and then talk to System. "Well, am I ready for the quest to gain more points in each attribute?" Issei asked calmly. "That's right, Issei Hyoudou," System responded. A portal would open in front of Issei. On the other side was a place that Issei recognized perfectly. The punishment dimension. "What is the quest about?" Issei asked. "Survive, I will decide how long you will be there," said System. At that moment some tentacles would come out of the portal and dragged Issei inside. After arriving at the dimension of punishment, the portal would close, leaving Issei trapped there. He would fall into a puddle of water, getting completely wet. "It takes me away." He lets out a sigh. "I better defend myself," said Issei, frustrated, rolling to the left, avoiding the whip of some tentacles. After that he would stand up and look ahead. Several tentacles came out of a hole in the ground filled with water. Issei just watched them with boredom, so taking out his dagger he began to cut them. He continued like this for a few minutes, until he realized that the number of tentacles did not decrease, but rather increased their number. When he realized this, he came to a conclusion. "It seems that they regenerate and multiply every time I cut them." Two emerged to replace the original, Issei thought seriously, so leaving aside games, he would activate his Speed Boost. Level 2 ability and sheath Ascalon in his other hand. He would go at high speed, cutting the tentacles that crossed him, until he reached the hole. Once there he would dive into the water and continue cutting more tentacles. He did that until he reached the bottom, finding a dark blue orb with a light blue glow. From this same orb the tentacles were coming. Issei just looked at it seriously, and then made a cut with Ascalon, splitting it in half. After that all the tentacles stopped moving. Now obviously dead, Issei would only extend his arm and cut the rest of the tentacle, taking both parts of the orb, and then come to the surface to breathe air. Damn, it was hard, Issei thought as he came out of the water. After that he would sit on the shore and put the 2 parts of the gem in his inventory. After some time he would get up and then start walking. "I'll have to find a shelter before night falls," Issei thought, again seeing the sun beginning to fall and the moon rising. Time after. Issei was deep in a cave. He had made a wall with some tournaments that blocked the way to the rest of the interior of the cave. He looked ahead with his white weapons in hand, prepared for anything. At the same time, at the entrance of the cave, there were several trunks that blocked the way, added to the fact that Issei placed several branches and sharp rocks like spikes. And that he put several leaves to prevent one from seeing through the wall. Issei was sitting in front of a campfire, several steps serving as support for a large branch to pass over which had some dead animals hanging. Issei was cooking them while preparing something. Inventory. Skill tree. Crafting system. Store. They were the titles of each hologram. Issei watched them as he interacted with them. "Congratulations, you have repaired Kukijakuma's tooth." "Congratulations, you have improved Kukijakuma's tooth," said a hologram that appeared in front of Issei. "Ready now, that's all that's left," said Issei, taking Ascalon and his dagger to the creation crafting system. "Congratulations, you have fused Ascalon and Kukijakuma's tooth, you have obtained a new weapon," said a hologram in front of Issei. "Devil Sword Alcalon." "Interesting," Issei said with a smile as his eyes sparkled, but he would stop doing that when the terrified scream of a creature caught his attention. After that another followed, another and another. They didn't stop. For every second that passed another scream was heard. Some didn't even take a second to be heard, even 2 or 4 sounded at the same time. "Shit, night feeders," Issei thought, scared, taking a llama and setting the door on fire, then lifting it and putting it in front of him, seeing the wall of logs that covered the entrance of the cave. The next day. "Congratulations, you have risen to level 83," announced a hologram in front of Issei. Issei would just hand out the status points and claim his reward, being more status points. He was walking carefully through the forest. He carried his new sword in his hand, resting it on his shoulder. Every so often he came across the mangled corpses of some monsters, and after seeing them he decided to leave the place as quickly as possible, heading to a mountain far away from where he was. After a little time he would come across the pack of several murdered monsters. Issei would just look at them and become angry at them and would begin to cost them, then take out and save parts of their meat and skin, with them also some of their parts that had a great price in the store. After that, Issei continued on his way. He didn't want to run and get tired, since he knew that where he was going would be a dangerous place, and being tired would only cause his death. "Wow, you don't see this every day," said a white-haired girl. She was in Issei's house, and in front of her was Kuroka, who was running from one side to the other. "Shut up, Volley, and help me," said Kuroka, annoyed with her friend and captain group leader. "What help do you need to find your boyfriend?" Volley asked sarcastically. "It's not my boyfriend," said Kuroka, blushing. Volley would just get over it from tiredness. "It will be okay, it's not like anything is going to happen to him, besides he knows very well that he is ridiculously weak now, so he will avoid all kinds of problems," Volley said with disinterest. Kuroka only got angry. "Don't call him weak," Kuroka exclaimed angrily. Volley would just let out a sigh to speak. "I'm just telling the truth," Volley said, crossing his arms. "Don't say that, besides I'm not stupid, you're also worried about him," said Kuroka. "I'm not," Volley said, a little annoyed. "Then why are you here?" Kuroka asked. Volley was surprised and looked away with a slight blush. "Ha, see," Kuroka said with a victorious smile. "That's shut up," Volley said with annoyance and somewhat embarrassed. "What to say?" He was hiding until he sneezed, attracting the attention of a dragon that was looking for him. "Ugh, I swear that the fools who are talking about me will pay for it," Issei thought angrily. In his left hand, Devil Sword Alkaline appeared. After that he activated his speed boost ability and moved quickly. He placed himself to the side of the dragon that launched a flame at Issei. This same one jumped upwards. The last thing the dragon saw was a blue flash before everything went dark. Issei had killed the dragon by stabbing his sword into its head. The dragon's slayer energy and the sword's own lethal poisoning ability killed the dragon quickly. After that, Issei would pull his sword out of the dragon's skull, turning around and seeing the corpses of several dragons. "Congratulations, you have reached level 100. Max, do you want to do a rebirth?" announced a hologram. "Congratulations, you have obtained the title of Dragon Slayer," announced another hologram. "Level 100 maximum? What does it mean? What is a rebirth?" Issei asked, confused. "There is a level limit that you can obtain. Upon doing a rebirth, all your status points will be reset. Your maximum level will be extended to 175, and upon putting a status point on any of your characteristics, they will increase by 10% instead of 5%. System answered monotonously. "I see," Issei said attentively to the explanation. In the distance he would see some animals and some small monsters, then he would see Devil Sword Alkaline, then he would close his eyes and think a little. Again the same hologram appeared. "Do you want to do a rebirth?" was the question of the hologram. Issei would only open his eyes. And? Chapter 5. The Dragon King's Tomb. Storyteller. Issei was killing everything that came his way, of course, only what was at his level or below, occasionally above him. He was already level 40 and was somewhat thoughtful. "Since I realize it's been 3 days since I've been here, that's 18 hours outside. Damn, I hope no one is looking for me," Issei thought as he continued killing some animals. Level 40. Strength 24. Intelligence 24. Agility 24. Vitality 24. Senses 24. HP 138, 240. Jundo 56, 240. I'm tired," said Issei sitting on a rock. He was without the top part of his clothes since he was washing them. Once that was done, he would put them to dry and wash the rest of his clothes, then put them to dry. After that he would buy some healing and energy recovery options. Taking them he would recover his consumed horsepower and Jundo. As time passed and once his clothes were dry he would put them on and then begin to jump from tree to tree. Through his inventory he would put on a winter suit and then jump more and reach an ice area. He finally reached the mountain. Here are those who give more experience in these plains or well mountains, Issei thought. He would jump from tree to tree. He would not go down into the snow unless he knew what was hiding underneath it, so for now he would remain cautious about everything. In the world of DxD. "Where is he?" Ross asked. She was worried, and how could she not be? Issei had not gone to school, and according to what they could detect at his home, he had not been there for more than 18 hours. "Do you look at me as if I know?" Volley asked angrily. She looked uncomfortable with everything that was happening. "We have to find Issei," Naya Kuroka said worriedly. "Really? I didn't know that," Office said monotonously. "Office, don't fight. By the way, why did you bring me here?" asked a beautiful red-haired girl with crimson eyes, who radiated the power and fire of a dragon. "You brought yourself great," Red Office said coldly to the red-haired girl. "Good point," Red replied. "Stop fighting, we have to find Issei-san and make sure he's okay," Roswa said seriously. "I've already done that, and I haven't found any trace of her aura or aura itself, but her scent and essence. Even having mine and Office's, I wasn't able to find it either," Red responded seriously, discouraging the others, although Volley hit it as well as Red and Office. "Shit, we're in for a tough time," Naya Kuroka said, letting out a sigh afterwards. "What Issei?" This one was jumping from tree to tree, every time he did it he sneezed, but he didn't have time to stop, so he kept moving while the trees he left behind him were destroyed by a shadow. Fuck, I'll kill the one who's talking about me, it's his fault a night feeder is following me now, Issei thought annoyed. He would take out Devil Sword Alkalon and block the cut of the creature's claws, after that he would jump higher avoiding another attack and reaching the top of a large stone wall. Issei didn't waste any time and continued on his way, running until he jumped and continued jumping from tree to tree. At his current level, he was no match for a night feeder. Facing one and its great and absurd speeds would only be suicide. As time passed in the distance he would hear the cry of pain and terror of an animal, Issei would only let out a sigh of relief. It seems that he has already entertained himself with another prey, Issei said, and in the distance he saw something that surprised him. Huh? A house. Issei said, stopping his walk and landing in front of the door of the house that was abandoned and destroyed by antiquity. This is totally new, said Issei with a poker face looking at the house. He would just ignore it being about to leave, but at that moment a drop of rain fell on his nose. So he would resignedly enter the house, knowing that it would take him some time to find a suitable shelter. Once inside he would only see some broken furniture, some pots, barrels, and a chest. Issei would just approach them one by one, taking out the things that were on them. 24-hour coins, 56 silver and 21 bronze, a data that increases the wearer's speed by 15%. Dagger of Agility. Rank, B. Damage, 45. Ability, increases the wearer's agility by 15% without consuming Jundo. The percentage increases by 15% every 15 minutes, but at the end of the battle, it will return to the base 15%. Durability, 63,365. HMNP, I think I can fix it with the materials from the store and some that I collected, apart from fusing it with the Devil Sword Alkalon would help me in combat, Issei thought, making the crafting hologram appear and starting to work. Devil Alkalon Sword of Agility. Rank, A+. Damage, 10,774. Skill deficiency. 1. Dragon Slayer, has an effect with the ability to cause greater damage to dragons or semi-dragons. 2. Demon Poisoning, the user of the weapon can poison the one who cuts him. The user can decide which poison to use, lethal or non-lethal, temporary or permanent, paralyzing among other poison effects. The ability to have different types of poisons will increase with the user's intelligence and level. 3. Agility Boost, increases the wearer's agility by 15% without consuming any money. The percentage increases by 15% every 15 minutes, but at the end of the battle, it will return to the base 15%. Durability, 100,000,100,000,1000. Issei whistled at that and took out his new weapon. Better, but I don't like the name for now, I'll call you Sure, said Issei. A hologram appeared in front of him. Congratulations, you have changed the name of Devil Alkalon Sword of Agility to Surace. All its skills and effects increase by 5%. Notice the Issei hologram just smiled at that. What a good service, he said. Getting up, he would accidentally kick a stone that fell through a hole. The stone would continue to fall, and Issei would realize something. I can't reach the bottom, Issei said so as not to hear the clash of the stone. Some time later he would hear it, but only because of his enhanced sense. So, after thinking a little about what to do, I would go to the hole, which was small, and begin to remove the boards from the place, revealing a larger hole in the ground, a tunnel with stone brick walls, and a spiral staircase. Wow, this is new. He begins to walk down the stairs without fear for the first time in this world. I see a building built by an intelligent civilization, and I was thinking that they were all beasts without conscience that only seek to kill, and now I find this interesting, Issei thought, interested, reaching the end, finding a hallway, at the end a gate about 10 times bigger than Issei. Issei just saw him and walked to him, touching the door to open it would set off an alarm. Alarm. A new quest will start upon entering this room. You will not be able to return in any way. Even if you are dead, you will have to complete it. Accept reject. Accept, Issei said without thinking. The door would open and he would enter, then the door would close and the quest information would appear before him. Quest information. Kill the first guardian of the late Dragon King's tomb before time runs out. Time limit, 6 o'clock. Time remaining, 5:59 and 56 seconds. Kill who? Issei asked himself, surprised, but at that moment he had to dodge the edge of a spear that went straight to his heart. First guard of the tomb of the dead Dragon King, Draco Knight. But we need to consider the future of our invention. After that he would block the slash of Draco Knight's sword, but the knight wasted no time and kicked Issei in the stomach. The brown-haired boy was sent flying through the air and crashed into a wall, destroying it, but he would not have time to recover or do anything else when he appeared in front of him with a dagger in hand. It didn't take a second to stab Issei in the shoulder, piercing him and stabbing the dagger into the cigar. After that he would take one of the two swords on his back and would be about to stab Issei in the head, but he would cover himself with his sword avoiding his death. After that he would throw the knight to the other side of the room. In pain, Issei would remove the dagger from his shoulder and seriously look at the knight in front of him, who would begin to recompose himself to attack Issei again. He only saw the dagger showing its information. Air Dragon Dagger. Rank, plus. Damage, 1450. Ability, increases user's speed by 60%. DSK, at least it won't be so fast anymore, Issei thought, but at that moment Draco Knight appeared behind him, giving him a blow that sent him crashing against the other wall of the room. Buck Issei cursed, spinning and blocking the knight's two swords that Ivan was going to cut off his head, but he heard the sound of something cutting through the wind, so, reacting quickly he crouched and everything on the ground, avoiding the knight's spear. It stuck in the ground. Draco Knight threw one of his swords at Issei, who dodged it, then jumped avoiding the attack of the knight who now had his spear. Issei took advantage of being in the air and slashed with Surace at the knight's head, but Issei only opened his eyes when the knight disappeared in a burst of speed and was behind him, holding his foot and then slamming it against the ground, breaking it and leaving a crater twice or larger than Issei, who spat out blood because of it. Draco Knight wasted no time and hit Issei in the stomach with a fist, then hit him again in the same area, but with greater force, causing the brown-haired boy to spit blood. He would continue hitting Issei, seeing that he barely reacted, so without any interest in continuing the fight, he decided to kill the brown-haired boy. Taking his sword and drawing the other with his hand, he was about to kill Issei, but from one move to another with the Air Dragon Dagger, he would launch an attack that passed through the slits of the helmet, stabbing the knight's right eye. After that Issei would activate his ability Wrath of the Sleeping Warrior. Level 3 and give him an uppercut to the head, then hold his head and knee him, then literally lift him up and run at full speed to crash into a wall. After that Issei would begin to deliver blow after blow, without stopping or thinking. Draco Knight could barely defend himself. He had dropped his melee weapons and had nothing but his fists, so without thinking he would begin to hit Issei, thus starting a fight where Ivan hits from side to side without covering or dodging, both opponents receiving the other's attack without backing down. But the knight would give Issei an uppercut, lifting him slightly in the air and then giving him a hammer blow to the hair along with a knee strike. After that he would grab him by the neck and throw him to crash against a wall. Without wasting time, Draco Knight would attract his weapons to him and go towards Issei, his only eye glowing in a crimson hue with a flame coming out through the slits of the helmet. Did you really think that because you had the essence of two dragons and were their partner, you had the privilege of entering the tomb of the deceased central dragons, but above all, to continue going down and reach the tomb and throne of the deceased dragon king? Said Draco Knight, approaching Issei, who was getting up with difficulty. That voice, are you a woman? Issei asked incredulously, but only resolved a blow from Draco Knight that put him on his knees before him. My gender is not important, the important thing is that you will die, said the now knight about to decapitate Issei. But Issei only looked up, looking directly into her only remaining eye. I'm sorry, but I still have loved ones to fight for, Issei said, his sky blue eyes with her eyes as sharp like a dragon's, and they shone in a light blue tone. State recovery has been used, reported a hologram in front of Issei, which he did not take seriously. Draco Knight was surprised by that, so he couldn't help but have Issei tear out the data in his right eye and run to Surace, who was in the middle of the room. Taking her, he would get into a combat stance, ready and prepared to continue the battle, with all his strength recovered, as well as his horsepower and jundo. Draco Knight, out of annoyance, only launched himself at Issei, who, using the agility boosting effect of the weapons in his hands and his speed boost. Level 2 skill, would dodge the knight's attacks and then slash him with Surace on Draco Knight's shoulder, cutting off his arm which he flew out of. After that he lowered his guard. The knight saw this and launched her attack with one of her swords, with her right arm being the only one she had, but Issei just pretended and in a quick movement dodged the attack, and with his sword, he would cut off the knight's other arm. After that he would kick her, that sent her crashing into a wall in the room. Fuck, he almost killed me, Issei thought, Draco Knight lying on the ground a few meters from him. The brown-haired boy only began to approach her, raising his sword to decapitate her. Anything to say? Issei asked, looking at her, managing to see her left eye. Good luck on the next level, said the knight. Issei just let out a sigh and decapitated her, giving her a painless death. After that, Issei would fall on his butt to the ground, letting out a sigh of tiredness from the fight he had had. Alarm. Congratulations, you have killed Draco Knight, the first guard of the late Dragon King's tomb. Do you want to continue to the next level? Accept, reject. Next level. No, I can't continue. He sees the corpse Draco Knight lying on the floor. If this is the first level, and she almost killed him, continuing alone is suicide. The next warrior has to be stronger than her, and even twice as stronger than her. I don't want to risk my life like this a second time. He looks at the hologram in front of him. Refuse, said Issei seriously. Warning. God, are you sure? If you reject, Draco Knight will revive once you leave, with all his memories. Apart from that, he will be stronger in your next fight when you return here. Are you sure you want to reject? Yes, I refuse. I don't want to die, said Issei, annoyed by the system's insistence. Warning. You have refused to proceed to the next level of the late Demon King's tomb. Warning. You have reached level 48. Secondary quest notice. Congratulations, you have completed the quest, kill the first guard of the tomb of the dead Dragon King, choose your reward. 100 status points. New random weapon. More X points for killing an enemy. An ally of the system. Random box. More X points for killing an enemy, Issei said after thinking things over for a while. You have chosen more X points to kill an enemy, congratulations. Yes, thank you, said Issei before turning to see the corpse of the knight who had some shiny objects. Issei just walked closer to her and took them. Katanas of the Fallen Samurai. Rank A. Damage 1200. Ability bleeding. Will cause the life of the enemy cut by the katanas to drop by 5% for every second. The effect will last for a minute, both effect and percentage increase, with each improvement in X obtained from using them. Durability 3.9485.000. Sorry, but I don't have any pictures of the spear. Warrior Spear. Rank Plus. Damage 856. Ability Piercing. The weapon will pierce any enemy defense as long as it is one level equal to or below the weapon wielder. Durability 5884 8000. Dragon Guard Helmet. Rank A. Ability Enhancement of Senses. Hearing, smell, and vision will improve by 25% while the armor piece is worn. Durability 48,373, 100,000. Skill Orb. Ability Lucid Warrior's Wrath. Increases the strength, agility and senses of the wearer, removing reasoning but allowing the retention of knowledge of techniques in combat. At least it was worth it, Issei thought, and then let out a sigh. Pap 6. Status. Name Issei Hyoudou. Rebirthdays 425% stat boost. Idol S, Dragon Slayer, Demon Slayer, Hunter, Beast Slayer, Beast Hunter, the strongest pawn, Op-Eye Dragon, etc. All the titles that the original Issei has. Work Joe S. 1. Ria's Gremory S Slave. 2. Player. Level 260. Strength 503. Intelligence 559. Agility 651. Vitality 445. Senses 305. Resistance 159. HP 11.110, 11.125. Jundo 4.384, 13.975. Damage reduced 35% plus 32%. Passive skills. 1. Handling of bladed weapons level 7. Gives you better skill, handling and control with melee or mid-range bladed weapons, does not work with any type of firearms. 2. Snake immunity level 10. Max waiting for evolution. Passive ability that will be activated when it detects the effect of various poisons, toxins, curses and or other things that infuse some effect that affects the user, negatively related to snakes and half-dragons. They will not have any effect on the user, it will not consume any money at any time. 3. Gamer body maximum level. Allows the player to experience the world as if it were a video game, aside from having a body identical to a video game avatar. For each time he sleeps, his physical, mental and spiritual state will be restored, healing and undoing physical damage, curses of level or rank below the player and poisons. 4. Gamer mind maximum level. It allows the player to have a calm and relaxed mind in the face of all adversities, apart from allowing the player to interact with the system and to have a better analysis in combats. Active skills. 1. Observation maximum level. Allows the player to analyze the various individuals around him, showing their level, the danger they represent, and in some cases, as long as the intelligence is above 500 and the player's level is higher, he will be able to see the information of the subject he is observing. 2. Wrath of the Sleeping Warrior level 10. Max waiting for evolution or fusion. The effect of this skill can be activated when the user receives enough damage or causes enough damage. Once that is done, the user can activate the effect of the skill, granting a 90% increase in the user's statistics, decreasing the senses and reasoning temporarily. 5% of HP will be lost for every minute, and 5% of Jundo will be spent for every 2 minutes. 3. Wrath of the Lucid Warrior level 10. Max waiting for evolution or fusion. Increases strength, agility and resistance by 90% while maintaining reasoning and senses. It will consume 5 Jundo for every minute. It can only be activated when the player does enough damage and the enemy remains unmoved before the player. 4. Vital Strike level 8. An attack that concentrates all damage on a single point, piercing the enemy's defense and dealing lethal damage, will consume 25 Jundo and increase damage by 100% 230%, does not need a cooldown. 5. Critical Strike Level 3. Increases attack by 95% when this ability is activated, after that you will have to wait 20 seconds before you can use it, it will consume 60 Jundo. 6. Speed Boost Level 10. Max Waiting for Evolution. This skill increases the user's speed by 95%, for every 10 minutes spent 5 of Jundo will be consumed. 7. Spiritual Improvement Level 1. The player will be able to choose which of his traits he can power through Jundo, depending on how much he boosts his qualities, he will consume more Jundo. 8. Killer Instinct Level 1. The player will emit an aura that intimidates the enemy, with a 25% chance of lowering the enemy's characteristics. The percentage improves the lower the enemy's level, and the higher the level of the skill. It does not consume Jundo and can be used at any time. Enemies of a level above the player will not be affected in any way by the effect of the skill. But they will be slightly intimidated. Equipment. 1. Dragon Guard Helmet. Rank. A+. Ability. Enhancement of senses. Hearing, smell and vision will be enhanced by 25%, while the armor piece is worn, reducing damage by 32%. Durability. 69,373, 150,000. Damn, I've been here for several weeks now completing quests, at least they gave me more skills and status points, and a lot of experience. It's a good thing I decided to use the reward of gaining more experience over killing enemies, Issei thought tiredly looking at the sky while he walked through a forest. Ultima Quest 1-2. Job change. Show whose boss obtained 1500 dragon fangs without killing them, kill one, and the count of fangs obtained will reset. You cannot obtain fangs from a dragon already defeated, remember 1 fang for each dragon defeated, and do not kill any dragons. Accept reject. Job change interesting, I accept, said Issei, interested until he thought for a moment and a doubt came to him. Job change. But I don't have any assigned work, said Issei, seeing his status, seeing that he was dodging. Damn, I forgot that I'm still Ria's slave, Issei said, annoyed. After that and complaining for a while, he decided to start the quest, going to a mountain in the distance. Walking along a dirt path, Issei would be able to see something in the distance. That's it, that's a village, said the brown-haired boy, surprised seeing an abandoned village about 245 meters away from him. It's been a while since I saw something built by a society, Issei thought, disappearing in a burst of speed and being about 10 meters from the village that was on top of the hill. After that, he would jump to the top to look around and realize that everything was abandoned, although in some parts he saw some human skeletons. It seems that this place has its history, Issei thought as he walked through the streets of the town. After seeing it in a better way, he would not find anyone alive and would begin to enter inside the houses in search of objects that would help him or that would be of use to him, finding small amounts of coins of various metals hidden in different places, broken weapons that were of no use to them, maps of the area that would help him in the future, some B-rank magic books and clothes. Which he changed without thinking with the clothes with which he arrived to that world, since that one was already destroyed. I look like Sung Jin-woo, Issei said with a smile as he left one of the several abandoned houses. After that he would begin to head to the center of the town, where the most important buildings were. Well, there must be several hidden and interesting things around here, Issei said, checking the interior of what looked like a doctor's home, since there were some doctor's things, as well as a room that was surely where he treated patients. Eureka, said Issei after running through a closet and finding a small loose board in the wall. He would run through it and extend his arm, finding several things, and would begin to match them one by one. The book of medicinal magic, he takes out some positions, then takes out another book and opens his eyes in surprise. A rank curse book. He looks back at a skeleton that was sitting in a chair. You did have some secrets, Issei said, and then looks back at the book. This thing will help me a lot, along with the magic book, Issei said with both books in hand. After that he left the building he was in and continued looking at the rest, finding some things that he ended up selling in the system store. After that he would continue on his way talking about the spells and the books he had, finding some corpses of animals and monsters along the way. It looks like the territory of a night feeder, Issei thought without any interest. He was not worried about meeting one of them, it was daytime and they were only seen at night. Apart from that, if he wanted he could kill 3 with ease. Issei just continued on his way until he reached the lowest part of the mountain, where he could see some scales or skeletons of dead animals and monsters. I finally arrived at Dragon Mountain, said Issei, taking out 2 katanas with a red blade and a blue and brown handle, with protective fingertips and a gem at the junction of the handle and blade, one on each side. One of the katanas was shorter than the other. Katanas of the Bloody Killer. Pre-evolution, katanas of the Fallen Samurai. Damage. 4,500 short katana, 9,500 long katana. Rank. S. Ability. 1. Bleeding. It will cause strong enemies to lose 185 HP for every 10 seconds, the effect will last 5 minutes, against weak enemies they will only lose 60 HP, both effect and percentage increase with each upgrade and exp obtained from using them. 2. Bloody regeneration. The durability of the katanas will regenerate for every drop of blood that touches it, keeping it clean, polished and sharp. If it breaks it will only need enemy blood to self-repair. There is a 25% chance that the ability also affects the bearer of the weapons. 3. Bloody enhancement. As well as the durability, sharpness and damage of the weapon will be improved by absorbing blood from individuals cut by the katanas. 4. Weakening. The enemy being cut by one of the katanas will cause their strength to decrease and the use of skills will be restricted for a time ranging from 5-15 minutes. 5. Unknown. The player does not have the required number of rebirths or has not yet gone through any event required to have information on this skill or use it freely. The system decides when to activate it and how to use it. Durability. 1,293,263, 1,293,263. Issei would crack his neck and look at the mountain, releasing some jundo, drawing the attention of those who inhabited the mountain, which caused the roars of the various dragons coming out of their hiding places, some from their caves or nests. Issei's eyes lit up red, an effect of the katanas he now had, his eyes sharpened and changed shape similar to those of a dragon. The alpha is here, Issei said, his eyes shining crimson with intensity, putting his katanas in front of him and jumping at great speed towards the dragons that were in front of him. Notice. You have completed the job change quest, then based on your status points you will be assigned one or more jobs, depending on your status points and experiences you have had throughout the journey. Finally, Issei said, activating his killer instinct ability, causing some dragons that were missing a fang to fly out of the place. You have been through several adversities throughout your life. Only when the foolery has reincarnated me without asking, said Issei, irritated. Showing great light, kindness, devotion and trust above all. Seriously, I didn't know that, Issei said ironically. But even if he was a good person, darkness lived within you. Yes, the juggernaut drive, my ex-perverted side, the 8 pawn pieces in me and other things, Issei thought as he sat down. You excelled in many areas of fighting, but never being skilled in all of them. If that's your way of calling my pathetic version of the past, no problem, I think the same, Issei reported calmly. The gratitude and loyalty you had with the ladies was never returned. I didn't love her, I just wanted to be with the people I loved, but it seemed they were the same as the others, or at least most of them, Issei added. You stood your ground, you moved on and matured, you grew and became stronger for the people you love, but when the system came along, you yourself changed for the better, good for your loved ones, but bad for your enemies. Hey? Issei exclaimed, confused. The player has demonstrated the qualities of a cold-blooded assassin for hire, a gentleman, but without the ethics and principles of these, has shown great control over his vital energy that is there in him, great handling of magic and the creation and improvement of objects, great learning with this, the system has already decided his reward. You are granted the jobs of. Don't buck with me, Issei said, surprised. Congratulations. You have been given the following jobs. 1. Killer level 1. 2. Black Knight level 1. 3. Mage level 1. 4. Sorcerer, level 1. 5. Witch, level 1. 6. Alchemist level 1. The job of Ria's Gremory slave has been removed. What? But I'm pathetic at magic, Akeno and Ria's told me that, apart from that and an alchemist. I've only been improving my weapons and creating my own potions, that has nothing to do with alchemy, or does it? He remembers something and hits his face. The materials in the store book, some had the description and the symbols of alchemy. I'm so stupid, Issei said angrily. After a few minutes he would calm down. But that doesn't explain why you gave me the job of magician, sorcerer and wizard. Wait, am I not Ria's servant anymore? Issei asked until a message appeared in front of him. Warning. 8 evil pieces have been deposited in your inventory. That explains it, said Issei, taking the 8 pawn pieces out of his inventory and then throwing them to the floor and stepping on them with all his strength, destroying them instantly. The XD World Occult Club. Jakemate, said Riaz with pride in herself, knocking down the black chess king piece. She lets out a sigh of defeat. Next time I'll win, Bachu, said Akeno defiantly to her best friend and clan king. Good luck, said Riaz with an amused smile. At that moment a magic circle appeared in front of him that had the symbols of the demonic chess pieces. The 8 pawns there disappeared, meaning one thing. Riaz, did you leave your pawn pieces lying around again and they broke? Akeno asked, amused. Well, whatever, they're just evil pieces, it's not like I can't create more. I'll ask Ajuka for more later, said Riaz, without giving it much importance. At that moment there would be a knock on the door. Fufu, it's probably Akiro-kun, Akeno said playfully. Risa would just smile affectionately at the knock on the door. Now that I think about it, how will the others be doing in their relationships? Rias wondered curiously. I don't know, I'll have to ask later, now let's please Akiro-kun, said Akeno, getting up from the chair, followed by Rias. Of course, Rias exclaimed excitedly. Back with Issei. Ready, but that doesn't answer why I am well, because I have jobs that involve magic, system. Why is this? Issei asked, frustrated. He wasn't good at magic, and Akeno and Rias had confirmed it. Dragons can be specified in the various areas of spiritual and physical management, including spells and curses, system responded. But I'm not a dragon, Issei said, annoyed. Biologically no, but his soul is, it is 40% dragon and 60% human, although the percentage of dragon will increase with more rebirths, his system responded. Don't buck with me, he lets out a sigh, and do the books you read have anything to do with it? True? Issei asked tiredly. That's right, system responded without emotion. Damn, he lets out another sigh. Anyway, there's nothing I can do now, but I already have an idea of part 2 of the last quest, so yeah, I accept, but if Draco Knight almost killed me, I don't want to imagine the other guards, so in order not to risk my life, I have to train more, so system, Issei said, getting up and taking out Surace and one of the bloody assassin's katanas. See Issei-sama. Pregunto, system. He cracks his neck, let the quest rain, said Issei, his eyes shining, the left one red and the right one blue, both with the iris of a dragon. Time skipped several days later. You could hear someone's footsteps on stone. As time went by, a dark brown-haired man would come down some stairs. He was wearing a black trench coat that reached his knees, it looked worn and dirty, a black shirt and black pants, along with shoes of the same color. His hands were full in the pockets of the trench coat, his eyes were pale brown, his eyes were sharp like a reptile's. He wore a red scarf around his neck, the same scarf had various symbols that could barely be noticed on the red fabric. He walked down a hallway until he reached a door, knocking on it. A hologram appeared in front of him. Quest notice. It is time to claim the throne forgotten by all, and wear the crown that has no successor, along with the title of the deceased. Go down to the last level of the tomb of the deceased Dragon King, knocking out the guards of this one, without killing them. Rewards. 1. Spellbook, ranks plus. 2,500 status points. 3.5 free things the player wants from the store. 4. Dark magic book Ranfo S. 5. Random box range alpha. 6. Healing magic book ranks plus. Accept, reject. I accept, said Issei, knocking on the door and opening it, meeting Draco Knight, who didn't think about it for a second and launched himself to attack Issei. Issei just disappeared in a burst of speed and held the knight by the neck, staging her against one of the walls of the room, the door of the room closing after Draco Knight's impact against the wall. First things first, I won't kill you, Issei said, that only bothered the other person. Second, I want information, he continued speaking. Draco Knight was about to hit him, but several black magic seals with a faint glow began to wrap around his body. Issei's eyes turned black with purple irises. And third, don't try anything, Issei said with a smile, looking amused at the knight who couldn't move. What did you hit me, he asked with difficulty. Sorry, but I'm the one asking the questions here, so please answer, said Issei, the cursed seals settling and improving so that the knight can speak with ease. Hap 7. For the crown, back to being a dragon. Are you going to answer? Issei asked the knight. Answer what? You haven't asked me any questions, stupid, Draco Knight replied angrily. How many are there? Issei asked, looking directly into her eyes through the helmet. What about? The knight asked. How many levels and guards are there? Issei replied angrily. 6 in total, 2 in one level, there are 5 levels in total. Wait a second, why am I telling you this? She asked herself incredulously. Just a little spell along with a curse and magic manipulation and wow, a truth technique, but anyway, what are their occupations? And how strong are they compared to you? Issei asked. Mine swordsman and spearwoman, then they follow. I will not tell it, I will not betray my companion, she answered angrily. Well, it's enough for you to know how many there are, Issei said calmly. I thought you were going to ask me why I didn't tell you what you wanted, said Draco Knight thoughtfully and angrily. You possess a strong willpower, it is the only thing that can prevent the effect of my magic technique, Issei said without interest. He would put more magic seals on the knight and begin to approach another door in the room. Hey, Issei just ignored her. Hey, Issei continued to ignore her and would pass his hand on the door. Hey fool, Issei would open the door. Hey stupid, answer, she shouted, but Issei had already passed the door and closed it. Cursed, Draco Knight cursed angrily. After that, a magic circle appeared on the side of her head. Draco Knight would hear a voice in a language that only she understood. If I pass, why did I lose? The bastard got stronger and I don't know why he didn't kill me, but whatever, letting out a sigh. What level is he at? I think at the level of the Dragon Witch, answered Draco Knight with annoyance. After that the communication was cut off. But Issei. He was opening a door and then closing it and looking in front of him, meeting another knight with the same armor as Draco Knight, but with orbs on the chest of the armor which had more parts and was more detailed. He only carried a sword on his back. Notice. The skill observation has been activated. Second guard of the Tomb of the Dead Dragon King. Name. Draco Gladio. Titles. 1. Dragon Knight. 2. Guard of the Tomb of the Dead Dragon King. Work Joes. 1. Knight. 2. Guard. Level. Undefined. Strength. 234. Intelligence. 798. Agility. 342. Vitality. 1929. Senses. 345. Resistance. 456. HP. 19.290, 19.290. MP. 7.890, 7.890. Danger level. Low. Description. One of the 4 knights chosen by the late Dragon King to form parts of his crown guard, he was resurrected by the Dragon King and assigned to the second level of the Dragon King's tomb to prevent anyone from ever touching and claiming the crown of £8 €, yen 9137. I see that you defeated my sister, but you won't have the same luck with me, said Draco Gladio. Issei just looked at him with some boredom and then let out a sigh. Look buddy, I just want to get to the end of this tomb so I can return home. I want to sleep in my bed again, and besides damn, since I remember, I had to sign some papers, said Issei, annoyed and somewhat thoughtful. The knight in front of him became angry. Draco Gladio jumped towards Issei, taking out his sword, which Issei held without any problem. Is this sword broken? Issei wondered with a drop of sweat, seeing a sword similar to a katana which had the blade with several cracks. From the blade some of the katana pieces would come out, going directly towards Issei's head, which he tilted to one side evading the attack, and then hit the knight in the stomach with his critical hit ability, causing him to vomit blood. After that Issei held him by the head and concentrating on his knee, he would knee him, leaving him badly injured on the ground. After that he would take the sword and throw it at one of the walls of the room, leaving it stuck in it. After that, Issei crouched down and placed the same seals he put on Draco Knight on Draco Gladio, paralyzing him instantly. This will serve me, said Issei, taking out the 3 red spheres from the knight's armor. Dragon Warrior Orbex 3. Rank. A. Ability. Grants an increase in physical and magical power, increasing these traits by 70% to the one who carried it. 70 for each one, then with the 3 he would have a physical and magical increase of 210. He looks at the knight lying on the floor, a shame that it will not increase resistance, said Issei, and then headed to the next level, opening a door and starting to go down some stairs. As time went by he would reach a completely clean hallway, where he would walk and reach a new door, which was made of slightly refined wood with metal parts and edges. Issei would only open the door, meeting 2 people, a woman with orange armor and golden parts, an orange cape on the outside and light blue on the inside, a stream of fire coming out of the back of her helmet. The other person was a man of the same height as the woman, armor with the same shape or almost the same, black and silver and some blue parts with bluish fire standing out on his forearms and back parts of his shoulder and back. He has a black cape on the outside and dark blue on the inside. They carried the same weapon, but with their respective colors. Notice. The skill observation has been activated. Third and fourth guard of the Tomb of the Dead Dragon King. Name. Why Woman X Man. Titles. 1. Dragon Brothers. 2. Guards of the Tomb of the Dead Dragon King. 3. The Two Strongest Brothers. Work Joes. 1. Dragon Knights. 2. Guard S. 3. Tanks. Level. Undefined. Strength. 450. Intelligence. 685. Agility. 238. Vitality. 10,874. Senses. 465. Resistance. 659. HP. 163.110, 163.110. MP. 10.275, 10.275. Danger level. Low medium. Description. 2 human brothers who swore loyalty to the Dragon Crown after the late Dragon King saved them from the inhabitants of their hometown, who accused them of treason and witchcraft when a villager saw them playing with 2 dragon babies. Since then, and after the death of the late Dragon King, they swore to take care of his grave and follow whoever is worthy and wears the crown of their former master. Tank work. The bad thing is I don't know if they are magical or physical tanks, due to their high intelligence and strength. Maybe they are both, Issei thought, until he realized the danger they represent, and he calmed down. It seems that the 2 younger brother knights fell, but we will avenge them, said Y annoyed, holding her weapon. Not so fast, sister, he has easily defeated them. We must not underestimate him. We have to go all out and make sure he doesn't continue to go down, said X seriously. The blue flames began to envelop his body. You're right, brother, we shouldn't be overconfident, he said, and orange flames enveloped his body. Well, with that said. Warning. The skill speed boost and spiritual enhancement were activated. "We have to start with a beating," said Issei, disappearing in a burst of speed and hitting both brothers in the stomach, causing them to spit blood. "The boss tart msting," they said at the same time, and with difficulty they would try something, but Issei just held them by the head and threw them girls against two walls of the room, raising a curtain of smoke. "Ready, it was easy," said Issei to continue on his way. "Finally I can go home with the others," he thought, but at that moment he jumped up, avoiding two fireballs, one the classic color, orange, red and yellow, and the other blue, light blue and white. After that, Issei turned around to see the smoke screens that had been raised before vanished and showed two bipedal dragons, one black and light blue, with fire coming out of its jaws and tail, and the other yellow and gold, with fire at the tip of its tail. Notice. Y and X have activated the dragon metamorphosis skill. Damn, at least the title Dragon Slayer helps me in these cases, Issei thought, dodging a flare of X and then jumping, evading the claws wrapped in a green aura of Y. After that, and using critical hit again, he knocked X to the ground and then launched himself at full speed towards Y, who couldn't react in time and received a blow to the stomach, which her scales and high resistance could withstand, causing her to spit blood. After that, Issei would put the paralysis seal on her, which he had also put on X. "Ready, and with the sleep spell they won't be a problem for me," Issei said, letting out a tired sigh and then going to a door in the room and going through it, there being more stairs than before. Issei would let out a sigh at that, then begin to go down them. Spending time, he would find a corridor of dark gray stone bricks. All of them were polished, apart from the fact that the corridor had no dust, cobwebs or anything that dirty them, with metal torches on each side of the wall, with a light blue fire that calmed Issei. He reached the end, finding a door made of black rock and metal parts. "Now that I think about it, everything has been very easy." He turns around, looking back. "Most likely they have rusted. After all, this place was forgotten by this entire world," Issei thought, entering the next room. "And you are?" asked a girl sitting in the center of the room. She seemed to be 18 years old, maybe a little older, golden blonde hair with golden hazel eyes. "God, I thank you for taking the pervert out of me, or I would have already died from a nasal discharge," Issei thought, his scarf hiding his small blush. "You know it's not good to leave a woman waiting," the girl said mockingly. Issei only got nervous at what the girl was saying. He was about to respond until he realized something. Wait a second, why did he act like that? Perhaps, Issei thought, analyzing his situation until he came to a conclusion. "I see you've already realized something. Let me introduce myself." She stands up and makes a small bow. "My name is Diana Miracle, the magician and sorceress, the fifth guard of the tomb of Mr. Plus $yen euro cents yen, and I see you're here for his crown," said the girl calmly. "Sir, what?" He feels a dollar on his head and then lets out a sigh. "Whatever, aren't you that dragon which I heard about before the first guard?" Issei asked. Seeing her, she would only deny it. "No, the one you are referring to is my superior, and therefore the last of the grave of $1,928 plus 0139 and times euro Sama, but seeing you better your features are those of a Japanese and not a Frenchman. Why are you asking about her?" the girl asked curiously. Warning. Observation skill has been activated. Notice. The enemy's level is higher than the player's, its information could not be seen. Issei cursed under his breath. "Well, since you don't answer, let's end this," said the girl, extending her arms to Issei, who jumped, avoiding spikes that emerged from the floor. After that, he would take out Surace by blocking some ice spears. "Wow, what an interesting sword," the girl said with interest. Warning. The skill, speed boost, has been activated. At that moment, Issei disappeared from her sight, surprising her. "But what?" the girl asked, but at that moment she felt something cut her back. Sangi Sigillum, Maledictus Paralysis and Blood Seal. Cursed paralysis, Issei said. The blood that fell from the girl began to turn black and spread throughout her body, forming seals and words in Latin. From the girl's wound, more blood came out that only served to complete the seal. Lying on the floor and badly injured, Issei did it and put a seal on her forehead that left her unconscious. Then he put a magic seal on her belly that began to heal her. "That's enough to keep you from dying," said Issei, continuing on his way until he reached a door and went through it. Walking through a hallway similar to that of the castle, Issei approached a beautiful door with dragon details. Two statuses of an eastern and western dragon were on the sides of the door. Issei ignored them and knocked on the door. It opened, giving way to Issei. He found himself in a gigantic room, a red carpet on the floor, pillars on the side supporting the ceiling, torches on the pillars and walls for lighting, and someone sitting on a throne with a banner and sword to one side, in his hand a crown which he was playing with by spinning it on his finger. "Foo, I'm surprised that someone like you could get this far," said the person, who turned out to be a pale blonde-haired girl with yellow golden eyes, pale skin, wearing black armor that protected much of her body. "It was easy, it seems that everyone got rusty," Issei said without hesitation. "You're right, it's been a long time since we got here. We haven't been able to train or anything like that since we were locked up, but that doesn't mean we're not strong, it's just you've gotten a lot stronger." "Issei Hyoudou," said the girl. "Do we know each other?" Issei asked curiously. Nope, but the magician notified me about you, the girl replied amusingly. That makes sense, Issei said, taking out a spear from his inventory. The Devourer of Heavens. Pre-evolution. Launches war. Rank. S+. Damage. 15,000. Skills. 1. Drilling. The weapon will pierce any enemy defense as long as it is one level equal to or below the weapon wielder. 2. Divine Cut. The weapon will cut everything that crosses it. This ability will consume the bearer's strength and will activate and deactivate when the player decides. 3. Loyalty. The weapon will always return to the hands of its owner when it is called. Like Thor's hammer. Durability. 13,884, 15,000. Then before starting the battle, how about you tell me your name, since you know mine, Issei said calmly. I see you don't know me, but whatever, my name is Jeanne d'Arc, the Dragon Witch, or better known as the Witch of Revenge, after the destruction of France, said the one now recognized as Jeanne d'Arc with a smile and a defiant look at the brown-haired man. Jeanne d'Arc. I know that, but I don't know where I've heard it, Issei thought as he began to spin his spear, gasping and killing several mini-dragons that were summoned by Jeanne. Bala is skillful, Jeanne thought, surprised, but put those thoughts aside and began to walk towards Issei. She's fast, Issei thought, blocking Jeanne's sword with his spear and holding the banner with his other hand, both looking at each other, Issei looking at her seriously and she with amusement. She had launched into the attack with the intention of killing him instantly, but thanks to Issei's instincts and his senses, he was able to stop her in time. Issei's eyes became those of a dragon and began to shine in a light blue color. Seeing that, Jeanne became serious about that and summoned more dragons behind Issei's back, who activated his speed boost ability and disappeared from Jeanne's sight while being behind several corpses of lower-ranked dragons. Jeanne was surprised by that. How fast is this guy? Jeanne thought seriously, Issei looking into her eyes in a serious and cold way, realizing something. I think the question is not how fast I am that surprised Jeanne, but how powerful am I? Issei said, smiling, taking out the bloody katanas, his eyes turning red with the sharp iris of a dragon, with the sclera of a dark purple almost black, his teeth turning into fangs and his fangs sharpening. From the katanas began to extend some seals that extended along Issei's arms until covering parts of his body. Some seals were seen passing through the left side of the brunette's face. Warning. Skill 5. Small war horn of the bloody assassin's katanas has been activated. Jeanne became serious about what was in front of her, not knowing what happened to the brunette. She did not plan to continue trusting him, so nailing her banner in front of her on the floor, she seriously looked Issei in the eyes. Any last words? Jeanne asked seriously and coldly. Go for the crown, Issei said, disappearing and appearing behind Jeanne's back. Jeanne fell to the ground with hundreds of cuts along her body, bleeding without any sign of life. Issei only deactivated his abilities and the ability of his katanas and turned around, putting some seals on the girl, to unload her and take her out of the room, leaving her outside, but not before making sure of her life. After that he would enter the throne room, closing the door and putting some seals on it so that no one would enter. After that he began to approach the throne where Jeanne had left the crown of the former Dragon King. Is this the crown? Issei asked, taking it in his hand. The system only showed him the name of the crown, which was obvious Dragon King crown, and its rank being one higher than S+, Beta, a rank above Alpha, which is above the S classification. It was only with his skill observation that he was able to see more. Description. A crown made with the blood of the Alpha of the dragons, who was considered King of Kings, a god among beasts and mortals, the deceased King of Dragons Kenpachi, the dragon of evolution. System. What do I do with this junk? Issei asked, looking at the crown angrily. It is time to claim the throne forgotten by all and wear the crown that has no successor, along with the title of the late king. System responded without emotion. Issei would only let out a sigh. Okay, Issei said, putting on the crown, and doing so he would spit blood and fall to the floor holding his chest right where his heart is. What happened? Issei asked in pain, falling completely to the floor. The body of the current crown bearer is human, but at the same time he is accepting it because of the 70% dragon soul in it, although you will surely die. System responded monotonously. Do something, Issei shouted angrily, writhing on the floor, spitting out more blood, his body beginning to burn, some parts rotting and even falling apart. The only way to avoid the death of the successor is to turn into a dragon. Do you accept that? Accept, reject. What? Issei screamed in pain. He could avoid it now, but in exchange for what? His humanity, the body that he once lost and recovered, the body that his parents gave him with their love. Apart, what other changes would there be if he were to eat the dragon? He didn't want to do it, but he didn't want to die. He didn't want to leave his loved ones, especially in that place where no one would know what happened to him. He didn't want anything bad to happen to them. He didn't want them to suffer because of his death and disappearance, so he made a decision. Except Issei shouted just as his vocal cords burned. At that moment another crystal began to form on the collar where system was, which began to envelop Issei, forming a giant blue crystal where the brown-haired boy's battered body was. Beginning of reincarnation from human to dragon, waiting time of 3 weeks reported a hologram in front of Issei, who, even though his eyes were open, only saw darkness. Chapter 8. The Awakening of the Dragon King. Storyteller. And what are you doing here? Diana asked, amused, to Jean, who was leaning against the wall next to the door to her level. Shut up, Jean said threateningly to the blonde. Hey, calm down, I'm just asking, said Diana nervously moving away from the white-haired girl. TSK, whatever, Jean said, getting up but suddenly falling to the ground when several cursed blood seals spread throughout her body. I see he gave you the same thing he gave me, Diana said, looking at her superior with hidden amusement. Buck, get this shit off me, Jean said with some difficulty. Diana just approached her, kneeling down, and began to work. How was your fight? Diana asked curiously. Jean did not answer and kept her gaze down the whole time. It seems that he trusted her just like me, thought Diana, and then let out a silent sigh as she finished removing the stamps. Done, I already removed the cursed seal, except for the healing ones that boy put on you, Diana reported calmly, getting up from the ground. Did you put healing seals on me? Jean asked in surprise, standing up with difficulty and leaning against the wall. That's right, although I don't know why he did it, something prevented me from seeing deep into his mind and thus being able to manipulate him. Apart from that, he also put healing seals on me after our fight, Diana answered and informed somewhat thoughtfully. Jenner would let out a sigh and look Diana in the face. Go and see how the others are, I don't care about them, but it doesn't hurt to know what he did to them, Jean ordered with disinterest. Yes, I was going to do that, said Diana, turning around and starting to leave. By the way, don't try anything, since he also put mana extraction and weakening seals on you, added to the fact that it had a weakening effect, perhaps a curse. Right now you are in a deplorable state, so if you enter again, you will only be cannon fodder, Diana informed, and then continued on her way. Jean just clicked her tongue and turned to look at the door with a look of hatred and contained rage. Whoever you are, I don't care who you are, Issei, you will pay for this, said Jean with hatred in her voice, until she remembered something. He the crown, most likely he will put it on and die. How did I not think of that before, thought Jean with an evil smile. While that was happening outside the room, let's go back inside it, right to the place where the crystal that holds Issei's badly wounded body is. The crown began to turn liquid and move through Issei's body, going for the wounds and beginning to enter them. As time went by, more blood would begin to come out and spread, slowly forming the lost parts of Issei, who was in a coma. The XD dimension. Girls, we should go out and look for him, Kuroka said seriously. But what if we leave and he comes back just when we're not there? Volley asked. Lilith can stay, said Roswis, looking at the gothic loli. But Lilith wants to look for Odo-san, said the little black-haired girl. At that, Office crouched down to be closer to her daughter. Lilith, it is necessary that you stay, so when Issei returns someone can let us know, and that way we are no longer worried, said Office, caressing her youngest's head. Lilith doesn't like it, but Oka-san is right, I'll stay here and wait for Odo-san, Lilith said in defeat. That's my girl, said Office happily before kissing her forehead and giving her daughter some candy. At that, Valerie would let out a sigh and look at her. Okay, let's go now, said the albino, so that later she and the others who were going would go to the main door. Being there, Volley would open the door, seeing a person and others who were about to knock on the door. Buck, Volley said, recognizing the people. You have it hard to have Issei just for you, partner, Albion said in the white-haired girl's mind. It's been a while since we last saw each other, Volley Yasaka said with a smile. Hello Volley-san, long time no see, said Valeria Topes with a smile and waving with her left hand. Volley-san. What are you doing here? Ingvald Leviathan asked in surprise. White Emperor Elmenhold Karnstein asked in surprise. Issei, damn womanizing bastard, Volley thought angrily, her anger increased when she heard her partner's laughter in her mind. Somewhere else. I still can't believe they did that, Auden said to Zeus, who was standing next to him. If so, at least there are people who still care about him, said the god of lightning while having a beer, the two of them being in a bar built inclusively for the various leaders of the different factions or religions. Yes, and who would say that all those people are in each of the factions, said Auden amused. Without a doubt, that brat earned everyone's admiration and respect, Zeus said with a smile. That's right, and all he had to do was never give up, said Auden proudly. You're right, it was a shame they didn't appreciate it, Zeus said somewhat angry. Yeah, well, there's nothing we can do now, we just have to move forward, said Auden, drinking more beer. By the way, have you finished off the survivors of the Chaos Brigade yet? Zeus asked carefully. Of course not, after all most of the DXD anti-terrorist group are having hex with their boyfriends all the time, Auden replied angrily. At that Zeus would let out a sigh of annoyance. Damn, if this continues like this we will be lost. Those who survived took many things, resources, so much weaponry, money and more. Apart from that they took some plans that they stole from the library of the biblical god, Zeus said, but at that moment, Odin opened his eyes in surprise and horror. "Oh no," said Odin, horrified. "What's wrong, Odin?" Zeus asked, confused. "Don't you remember Michael said 2 years ago that they took the beta plans of the Holy Grail and the alpha plans of the boost gear?" Odin responded, upset. At that Zeus opened his eyes in surprise. "Oh look," Zeus said simply. System world 2 weeks and 5 days later. Issei's crystal was completely blue, not allowing you to see his state, only his black silhouette that revealed his entire body. Alarm. The reincarnation of the successor from human to dragon has been completed. Message. Time to wake up, player. The crystal surrounding Issei began to shine and then began to lose its color, and the light it gave off was absorbed by Issei's body. The seconds passed and the crystal opened from the top, showing Issei, but with a new appearance. Issei emerged from inside the crystal. He looked dizzy and disoriented. When all his senses cleared and settled, Issei could see where he was and could notice the pale tone of his skin. "What the hell? Remember what happened, Buck?" "Damn necklace," said Issei, looking at the aforementioned necklace on his neck with anger, but his anger only left him there. After that he left the crystal and sat on the edge of it, resting his head on his left hand, still not being 100%, but he couldn't stay calm when a hologram appeared in front of him. Message. Congratulations, you have completed the quest. The quest. Oh, I remember now, Issei said, beginning to finish recovering. Warning. Calculating points earned by the player. Calculating points. But the rewards were supposed to be set already, Issei said, confused. Message. 1. Successor's life is above 50%, currently at 100%. 2. The order not to kill any guard of the tomb of the dead Dragon King has been fulfilled, alive. 6. 3. Completed in less than 5 hours. 4. More than 500,000 points of damage have been done. 5. The successor remains a virgin. 6. The successor has obtained the crown of the Dragon King. 7. The successor has completed his reincarnation from human to dragon. 8. The successor's work levels are at maximum level. 9. The successor defeated the guards of the Dragon King's tomb quickly and without any negative results in the 10. A melee weapon has only been used 3 times. 11. The successor's Jundo is above 50%. But what a pro, Issei said with an amused smile. Message. The player will then be given the corresponding reward for the points obtained. Rewards. 1. Spellbook rank alpha. 2,500 status points. 3.10 free things the player wants from the store. 4. Dark magic book rank alpha. 5. Random box range beta. 6. Healing magic book rank alpha. 7. New title. King of Dragons. 8. New title. Dragon of Evolution. 9. Active skill, alpha mastery level 1. Dragons below the bearer in skill or that have been tamed, subdued or outclassed will follow the commands of the bearer using this skill. 10. Active skill. Ruler's authority level 1. An ability that allows the bearer to manipulate objects at will, consuming 150 Jundo for every 10 seconds like telekinesis. 11. Active skill. Called alpha level 1. Dragons that were or are formerly under the domain of the alpha can be summoned by the bearer of this ability. Call of the alpha, only being able to summon a maximum of 5 dragons, consumes 2,500 Jundo. 12. Active skill. Transmutation level 1. Skill derived from the job of alchemist allows the user to change the property, its form, components of the elements, or convert it into something completely different that the bearer of this skill touches, allowing him to better manipulate the elements he works with, consumes 1,750 Jundo. 13. Active skill. Warrior spirit level 1. Skill derived from the job of Black Knight. When this skill is activated, the user gets a 50% increase in their strength, agility and resistance statistics. It consumes 350 to activate it and lasts 5 minutes. 14. Active skill. Peace of mind level 1. Ability derived from the jobs of sorcerer and magician, increases the magic power of the user of this ability by 35%, increasing concentration and prediction. 15. Active skill. Cursed impulse level 1. Skill derived from the job of warlock. All curses, spells, or magic attacks of the dark, sinister or cursed attribute are increased by 25%, the effect lasts 15 minutes. 16. Passive ability. Evolution level 1. This ability will activate itself in battle and will cause the successor's statistics and power to be permanently weakened in battle. If the bearer of this ability loses, there will be no second chance to defeat him, thus becoming stronger with each battle. It also allows you to evolve or improve an already obtained ability by consuming 99% of the bearer's power. 17. Passive ability. Adaptability level 1. The power that grants its user the ability to adapt without outside help to any damage received. This power grants its user the ability to never be hurt twice by the same cause, creating more abilities as the battle progresses. These abilities are not permanent, and after 3 hours these abilities will be erased. 18. Active skill. Stealth level 1. Skill derived from the job of assassin. This skill camouflages the bearer of it with their surroundings and hides all traces of presence, essentially becoming invisible both physically and magically. Consumes 50 jundo for every 15 minutes. People above the level of the bearer of this skill will be able to see it. Another ability that increases my power. Please, I already have 3 or 4 with this one, maybe 5, although evolution and adaptability attracts my attention, said Issei, and then accepted his reward. After that, the crown that was made from Kenpachi's blood was projected above his head, now being made of blue and light blue energy. I hope the others don't see it, Issei thought, raising his gaze and seeing the crown. As time passed, Issei remained in the same place, as he was still disoriented. Once he recovered he stood up and began to look around. There were always hidden things behind thrones, said Issei approaching the king's seat. Once there, he tried to move it aside, but only caused the throne to fly out and crash into a wall of the room. Damn, it seems that becoming a dragon again made me much more powerful, said Issei looking at his hands, concentrating on having diminished his power. After that he continued walking until he noticed something, a trapdoor underneath where the throne was, so approaching it he opened it and revealed a small spiral staircase. How the hell did Kenpachi get through here? Issei asked himself and then began to go down the stairs. As time went by he would reach the end, where he found a door, so he just opened it and was amazed at what he had inside. Oh my god, Issei said in shock to see the place completely filled with pure gold. The room was gigantic. In the middle of the room he saw an orb of energy that was surrounded by several metal plates, its design resembling that of his necklace. He just jumped all the stairs and reached the ground floor. After that he disappeared in a burst of speed and appeared in front of the orb, where a hologram appeared. Message. You have found Kenpachi, the dragon of evolution's treasure. Do you want to keep it in your inventory? Accept, reject. I accepted, Issei said. After that all the gold in the gigantic room disappeared in a flash of blue light and a new message reached Issei. Message. Congratulations, you have obtained 1 trillion gold. Your current amount of gold is 2,387,284,202,953. I wish I could convert this into money from my world, but whatever, I better get back now, Issei said, turning around and starting to leave the place. Time after. Arriving at the throne room, the door to this room would be opened where Jean would enter already recovered with Diana and Draco Knight. Her other companions were unconscious. The idiot probably put the crown on himself, which is why he's already dead, Jean said with a triumphant smile, but she would stop to see who was in front of her. That's right, now we just have to throw his remains in the trash, said Diana calmly, but when she saw what was in front of her she stopped. That guy, he was strong, but because of his idiocy he's already dead, said Draco Knight, but when he realized who was in front of him he stopped. What's wrong? Did you see a ghost? Issei asked, amused by his new appearance. Now having pale skin and light blue eyes with wider eyes as in the shape of a dragon, his hair was now silver with a slight hint of blue, resembling Roswisser Volleymore. Apart from that, the 3 women were more surprised to see the crown rubbing on top of the now silver-haired man. Impossible, Diana said in shock. Why, you damn bastard, how did you do it? Jean said in shock and anger. It's not real, Draco Knight said in horror. The truth is what it is, now I am the king, said Issei smiling with a smile revealing fangs, apart from his eyes shining intensely. What a pity, dear, because I do not accept it, Jean said. Behind him magic circles began to form, but Issei, when he saw that, he just got serious. Warning. The skill Alpha Dominance has been activated. Kneel down, Issei ordered seriously, and the mark of a dragon appeared behind him, and the 3 of them knelt before the silver-haired man, and I was thinking it wouldn't work, but Kenpachi's master and servant seal still works, Issei thought, surprised seeing the 3 females who were surprised. After that, Issei let out a sigh and began to leave the room. Do what you want, I'll be back in a few days, Issei said. A portal created by the system opened in front of him. He just crossed it and returned to his world. Finally home, he sat on top of a building looking at the night sky. Although I can't allow them to see me with this appearance and the crown, how did he take it from me, Issei thought. You can change your appearance using a spell. The crown will stay in place, but will not be seen by anyone with the exception of pure dragons, and will be shown to half-dragons and other races. When using the Alpha Domain ability system responded from Issei's mind. Okay, that's a relief, Issei said with a slight smile. After that, a magic circle with intricate patterns between them and a drawing of a dragon in the middle, all in light blue, some lines, patterns are kanji in wider dark blue. The magic circle appeared above Issei and began to descend through Issei's body. Once below his feet, it showed Issei's old appearance, which only changed in all his skin, and his eyes and hair returned to being brown, and his iris returned to being that of a human. Well, it would be better to go to my parents' house. I feel like something is waiting for me if I go straight back to my house, Issei said before disappearing in a burst of speed. The next day. Sorry, Issei apologized in front of Roswas. They were both in an unoccupied classroom at the Kuo Academy. Sorry. What's sorry? Issei, we were worried, not only that, but you had also missed the academy, so now tell me what's wrong, Roswas ordered angrily. Issei would only let out a sigh and looked at her face. I've been a little thoughtful, Issei answered without finishing. Thoughtful of what? Roswas asked, angry and confused. Thinking about what to do with my life from now on. He looks Roswas straight in the eyes. I don't know, but something tells me that I have to go back to the supernatural, Issei reported heavily, and it was true. Lately he had had a bad feeling and had been overly worried about his friends. Issei, Roswas mentioned, looking her crush in the eyes. I'm worried about you guys, and at the same time I feel useless for not being able to be by your side all the time and be able to protect you, Issei said, but at that moment Roswas hugged him, surprising him. Ross, what are you doing? Issei asked, confused and trying to get away from the albino to feel something in his hug. Issei, you don't have to worry, please, I know it's difficult, after all you were the strongest, and then you became, Roswas said without finishing the sentence, feeling a lump in her throat. A weakling, Ross, you can say it, I won't be offended, and I won't feel bad either, Issei responded calmly, having already stopped struggling in the hug. It was obvious that he couldn't get out without revealing his new power. Well, now you are what you said, I understand. Well, I can't fully understand it, but I know that being depressed, humiliated and ashamed and that's why Ross was the Valkyrie who was once the nanny of Odin, the father of all. I swear to protect you no matter the cost, until the end of time, said Ross, was changing the words he wanted to say. Looking into Issei's eyes with a determination that the brown-haired man had never seen. Ross, Issei called, surprised and somewhat guilty deep down, as he saw how someone he appreciated with his heart and soul, saw how he swore to protect him until the end, and he pretended to be a useless person with no value whatsoever. Issei, you helped me from the beginning, you protected me and supported me when I needed it most, you even went so far as to fight a god, so that I could be by your side, and that's why Rian. Hey? Roswas exclaimed, surprised and blushing, listening to the footsteps of several people approaching the classroom. Well, I think we have to go back to class, said Issei, slightly blushing, managing to separate himself from a nervous Roswas. He just friends in himself, system mentioned in Issei's mind. Shut up, Issei said, angry and blushing after that he didn't hear system's voice. Hap 9. Battle in the city. Status. Name. Issei Hyoudou. Birthdays, 980% stat boost plus 35% per status quest. Idol S. 1 Dragon, Slayer. 2 Demon, Slayer. 3. Hunter. 4. Beast Slayer. 5. Beast Hunter. 6. The one who surpasses all activities. 7. Dragon King. 8. Dragon of Evolution. Work Joes. 1. Assassin level max. 2. Black Knight max level. 3. Wizard level 8. 4. Wizard level 8. 5. Witch level 7. 6. Alchemist level 8. Level. 660, 23% 661. Strength. 834. Intelligence. 959. Agility. 837. Vitality. 684. Senses. 584. Resistance. 695. HP. 54.720, 54.720. Jundo. 76.720, 76.720. Damage reduced 67% plus 99%. Passive skills. 1. Bladed Weapon Master max level. Pre-evolution, handling of white weapons, novice white weapons expert. Gives you better skill, handling and control with melee or mid-range bladed weapons. Being a master of this art, the weapon is considered an extension of the weapon master himself. 45% more damage with bladed weapons. 2. Divine Immunity max level. Pre-evolution. Snake immunity, dragon immunity. Passive ability that will be activated when it detects the effect of a poison, cursor effect that harms the player. 3. Gamer body max level. Allows the player to experience the world as if it were a video game. Sleeping in a bed will restore their horsepower, and together, all negative effects on them will be removed. 4. Gamer mind max level. It allows the player to have a calm and relaxed mind in the face of all adversities, allowing him to think clearly when he is in trouble. 5. Danger Warning Level 7. Warns the player of danger that is near him. The higher the level of the skill, the more precise and faster it will be. 6. Evolution Level 4. This ability will activate itself in battle and will cause the successor's statistics and power to be permanently weakened in battle. If the bearer of this ability loses, there will be no second chance to defeat him, thus becoming stronger with each battle. It also allows the already obtained ability to evolve or improve by consuming 90% of the bearer's power. 7. Adaptability Level 3. The power that grants its user the ability to adapt without outside help to any damage received. This power grants its user the ability to never be hurt twice for the same reason, creating more abilities as the battle progresses. These abilities are not permanent, and after 6 hours these abilities will be erased. It allows you to adapt what hurt you once to your own arsenal. 8. Magical Manipulation Level 9. Allows the player to learn, create and use spells, magic attacks, effects and/or curses. This ability has its derivatives. Use Curses Level 7. Derived from the work of which allows the player to learn, create and use curses through magic seals, chants or others. These curses can have various effects on the enemies to which they are applied. The player decides what effect the curses will have. Spiritual Management Level 8. Derived from the mage job, it allows the player to manipulate their jundo and use it freely and in a variety of ways. Elemental Manipulation Level 7. Derived from the work of mage, it gives the player the ability to use the elements in their environment or created from their jundo, in the form of defense, offense and support. The elements are obtained and accessed through spiritual training, and are used in various ways, through chants, magic circles or directly through the body and environment. Use of Spells Level 9. Derived from the work of sorcerer, it allows you to learn, create and use projected geometric shapes, magic seals or chants to the player. Apart from using spells that increase the abilities of allies or the player himself, the spells will have the effects that the player wants them to have. Apart from that, they can be used as attack, defense or support. 9. Meditation Level 2. Through meditation, the player will be able to increase his intelligence and refine his other skills. Active Skills. 1. Observation Max Level. Allows the player to obtain information about objects, places, situations and people. If the rank or level is higher than that of the player, certain information will be denied. 2. Wrath of the Master Warrior Level 1. Fusion of Sleeping Warrior's Will and Lucid Warrior's Will. Pre-evolution, will be a warrior will be a rookie warrior. This skill increases strength, agility and resistance by 180%, 500 horsepower will be lost for every 1 minute. 4. Vital Strike Max Level waiting for evolution or fusion. An attack that concentrates all damage on a single point, piercing the enemy's defense and dealing lethal damage, will consume 5 jundo and increase damage by 180%, 320%, does not need a cooldown. 5. Critical Hit Max Level waiting for evolution or fusion. Increases attack by 180% when this ability is activated. After that you will have to wait 10 seconds before you can use it. It will consume 25 jundo. 6. Divine Speed Level 1. Pre-evolution. Speed Boost Extreme Speed. This ability increases the speed of the player's entire body and senses by 90%, allowing them to react thousands of times faster than supernatural, capture things with great speed, and/or attack or move at high speeds. It has no cooldown time, only consumes 1500 energy, and will not consume more energy until the player deactivates the ability and activates it again. 7. Spiritual Enhancement Max Level Expected Evolution. The player will be able to choose which of their traits they can enhance through jundo. Depending on how much they enhance their qualities, they will consume more jundo. 8. Bloodlust Level 2. Pre-evolution. Killer Instinct. Similar to the Killer Instinct, it emits an aura that intimidates enemies. The player decides who to affect and how much of the aura will affect the enemy. Once affected, the weakness effect will be applied, which will cause the enemy's physical and magical statistics to decrease. Apart from giving them great fear, that will make them hesitate to continue fighting or attacking. 9. Alpha Mastery Level 1. Dragons below the bearer in skill or that have been tamed, subdued, or outclassed will follow the commands of the bearer using this skill. 10. Ruler's Authority Level 5. An ability that allows the bearer to manipulate objects at will, consuming 100 jundo for every 10 seconds like telekinesis. 11. Call of Alpha Level 1. Dragons that were or are formerly under the domain of the Alpha may be summoned by the bearer of this ability Call of the Alpha, only being able to summon a maximum of 5 dragons, consumes 2500 jundo. 12. Transmutation Level 4. Skill derived from the job of alchemist allows the user to change the property, its form, components of the elements, or convert it into something completely different that the bearer of this skill touches, allowing him to better manipulate the elements he works with. Consumes 1750 Jundo. 13. Warrior Spirit Level 5. Skill derived from the job of Black Knight. When this skill is activated, the user obtains a 70% increase in their strength, agility and resistance statistics. It consumes 350 to activate it and lasts 5 minutes. 14. Peace of Mind Level 2. The skill derived from the jobs of Sorcerer and Mage increases the magic power of the user of this skill by 45%, increasing concentration and precision. 15. Cursed Impulse Level 5. Skill derived from the job of Warlock. All curses, spells, or magic attacks of the dark, sinister or cursed attribute are increased by 55%, the effect lasts 25 minutes. 16. Stealth Level 7. Skill derived from the job of Assassin. This skill camouflages the bearer of it with their surroundings and hides all traces of presence, essentially becoming invisible both physically and magically. Consumes 25 Jundo for every 10 minutes. People above the level of the bearer of this skill will be able to see it. Equipment equipped. 1. Dragon King Crown Permanent. Rank. Ultimate. Ability. King's Aura. Every dragon below the crown bearer will recognize him as their king and obey him loyally until the end. Dragons or half-demons of the same level or above the bearer will not be affected. Apart from the closer the dragons or half-demons are, they will not be affected by the crown's ability. Also, the bearer of the crown decides who is affected by the crown's ability. Reduces damage by 99%. Durability. Infinite. 2. Hermit Dragon Bracelet. Rank. Alpha. Description. The luxurious and eye-catching bracelet, which hides the secret of blocking the ability of others to detect the wearer of it, causing them to be unable to sense their magical presence for hundreds of kilometers, although the people in front of the wearer of the bracelet will only detect it with the magical energy of an average human. Added to the fact that it has the fusion of the 3 orbs of the warrior dragon, thus secretly increasing the physical and magical power of the wearer by 210%. Durability. 500,000, 500,000. Nara Issei. It's been a while since I came back and was punished, so to speak, by the girls. I still go out into the streets to kill renegades. It helps me level up. Apart from that, I have gone to the world of the system and started doing the quests. I evolved my skills and improved my weapons, apart from modifying their form. I have not yet claimed the system's ally either. As I understand it, this will summon a being that will function as my ally, or rather, follower. I plan to use it, but later. I still don't know what can come out of there, so I don't want any problems. But anyway, to sum it all up, well, almost a disaster. Hiding the fact that I became a dragon again has been difficult. Office and Red have already noticed it. Lilith didn't say anything because Office asked her to. My instincts tell me that I'm getting closer to danger, which worries me. The problem isn't the people I appreciate, want and love. The problem is the factions. If they discover all this, that I'm a dragon again, that I'm becoming more powerful with each passing second, and above all, if they discover the system, I'm screwed. I am 100% sure that they will force me to give it to their new pillar of the biblical factions. Unfortunately, in the entire alliance, they are the ones who have the most power when it comes to giving orders and words. But for now, I have managed to keep my business from being discovered, but I know that this cannot be hidden any longer. And more. Knowing that that bastard is here in Kuo, stupid Ria's made her fiancé come here. Storyteller. Issei, in his normal human form, was walking through the streets of the city, attentive to his phone and the baby dragon Lilith, who was holding his left hand while eating ice cream, and the 17-year-old blonde-haired girl who was carrying a bag with purchased clothes. The girl's 2 mothers respectively gave them this punishment, taking care of the 2 of them, more so Lilith, being the youngest of the 2, while the blonde-haired girl, being now a 17-year-old girl, could now take care of herself better by herself. Apart from that, her body really developed faster, now looking like a girl of her corresponding age. "Look, Issei, over there," said the teenager, seeing a clothing store. "Who knew? You already have enough clothes in those bags," Issei said somewhat nervously, putting away his phone in the process. "That's what you say, but I need more," said the kitsune with a trusting smile. Issei just sighed and put a finger on Kunu's forehead, getting her attention. "How much money did your mother give you to buy whatever you wanted?" Issei asked. "Enough," said Kunu with a pout. "And how much time do you have left?" Issei asked, raising an eyebrow. Kunu blinked slightly and noticed her purse, rolling her eyes in surprise and looking away in embarrassment. I hope it teaches you not to spend money just for the sake of it and buy whatever catches your eye," Issei said with a mocking smile, further embarrassing Kunu, who lowered her head. "Yes," Issei said the defeated kitsune. The Brown for a moment could imagine her with her dark circles and drooping tails. He just let out a sigh and stroked her head. She looked up and saw that Issei had a kind and warm smile. Come on, surely the two of you are already hungry, Issei said. Kunu smiled lightly. Yes, she said animatedly. Odo-san, she thought as she began to walk with the brown-haired and Lilith, who was still in her world eating her ice cream, but holding Issei's hand tightly. Somewhere else. In a place of complete silence, you could hear how something was eating meat and breaking bones. We've had problems with said the voice of an older man. And why is that? Asked the voice of a man. He sounded older than the other. The problem is when he doesn't eat, you can hear something being destroyed. He loses intellect and reasoning, which causes him to be guided more by his instincts than by his reasoning, answered the younger adult. HNMP, take one of their latest versions and take it to Kuo, along with a small group of residuals. Make sure to take note of everything. Let's see how efficient it is, said the older man's voice with authority. Hi Lucifuge-sama, said a scientist to a silver-haired man with red eyes. Time later with Issei. The chestnut was cooking, while from time to time he saw Kunu and Lilith playing a board game. And when will their mothers come? Issei asked suddenly, drawing the attention of the two females. Oka-san will come shortly, since she had to take care of some things in the kingdom. Kunu replied calmly. And what problems do you have? Issei asked, curious and confused. I really don't know exactly what it is, but I heard from the guards that it's about some renegade demons and yakes that are wreaking havoc, and it's once a week, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Kunu responded doubtfully and thoughtfully. I see, said the brown-haired man, slightly surprised and serious, although the latter hid it. And my Oka-san is with Aunt Red, in the dimensional gap. They said they felt something there, and they are looking for it, Lilith said innocently. Something in that place? Issei asked confused. Lilith just shrugged. Oka-san didn't say much about it to Lilith, she just said that she felt something enter the crossroads of the territory between hers and Aunt Red's, so Oka-san and Aunt Red went to see what it was, Lilith answered calmly. I see, Issei said, taking some plates. Do you want to wait for them or start eating? Issei asked. Both women saw him and thought about it for a bit. Oka-san said she couldn't come to work because of work, Kunu said. It's the same case as Lilith, Office replied. Okay, then let's eat, Issei said, starting to serve the food. I still don't understand how it can be a punishment for me that those three stay with me, Issei thought doubtfully, but preferred to leave that aside. Later in another place. The teleportation spell in the form of a magic circle with other geometric shapes was present in the center of the city, before the eyes of all the humans who were there, watching with amazement and surprise what was happening. But from the spell began to emerge something, which turned out to be a bipedal creature that could walk even on four legs thanks to its long arms. It had a long spiked tail, it was robust and large, reaching 6 meters in height. Its head resembled that of a shark, with several teeth and an orange golden light coming out of it, with 2 horns on the sides of its head. Its entire body was gray and had several spikes on it and had no eyes. Next to him, there were creatures that were the same as him, but only 2 meters tall, with fewer spikes, longer tails. Their bodies were thinner, as were their horns, which were also smaller, but unlike their larger version, they had 3 wells of eyes all over their heads, which almost gave them 360 vision. The largest, and apparently the alpha, stood on his 2 feet and roared in anger, releasing a killing intent that froze the humans present. Not only that, but everyone felt something else in that roar, a great amount of uncontrolled hunger. But Issei. He was sleeping in his bed, but at that moment the creature's roar reached his ears, causing him to open his eyes, showing his light blue iris and slanted white pupil. He got up, he could feel the presence of Lilith and Kunu still sleeping in the next room. He just got up and changed his appearance to that of the silver white-haired man and accessed the inventory equipping his suit. After that, a spell in the form of a magic circle appeared at his feet and enveloped him in a white light. The silver white-haired man appeared on top of a building and looked down, where he had located the origin of the roar. Seeing the creature that appeared a few moments ago, along with other residual creatures that were attacking people. This is going to get interesting, said Issei, and then Eli jumped higher, while his weapons materialized in his hands. Bloody katanas of the killer modified. Pre-evolution, katanas of the fallen samurai. Damage. 8,500, short katana. 13,500 long katana. Rank. Alpha. Ability. 1. Bleeding. It will cause strong enemies to lose 185 HP for every 10 seconds, the effect will last 5 minutes, against weak enemies they will only lose 60 HP, both the effect and percentage increase with each upgrade and exp obtained from using them. 2. Bloody regeneration. The durability of the katanas will regenerate for every drop of blood that touches it, keeping it clean, polished and sharp. If it breaks, it will only need enemy blood to self-repair. There is a 50% chance that the ability also affects the bearer of the weapons. 3. Bloody enhancement. As well as the durability, sharpness and damage of the weapon will be improved by absorbing blood from individuals cut by the katanas. 4. Weakening. The enemy being cut by one of the katanas will cause their strength to decrease, and the use of skills will be restricted for a time varying from 15-25 minutes. 5. Small War Horn gives an increase in power to the user of the two katanas in exchange for his own will and falling into a desire to kill all his enemies for no reason. It will make black marks grow, and his eyes will change to crimson. The two katanas will begin to consume the user's own vitality in order to increase the power for each second that passes. Durability 3. 293.263, 3.29, 3.263. After that, using wind magic, he would accelerate his fall and fall to the ground, raising a curtain of smoke, thus drawing the attention of the creatures. When they turned around they only saw smoke. One of the 2-meter creatures began to approach slowly but alertly, but when they least expected it something came out of the smoke, turning out to be Issei, who as soon as he saw it decapitated it. After that he launched a direct attack against the other beings, who began to attack him. First were the little ones who quickly fell against Issei, but from their falling corpses, they began to divide and generate 2 more identical creatures, practically for each one killed, 2 half the size of the original emerged and attacked the sky-eyed man. Issei just saw that and cut them again, killing them definitively. After that it wasn't much more difficult for him, more because of his sense of danger warning of each incoming attack, but when he least expected it, he received a blow to his side. That blow sent him crashing into a wall. Once he recovered he saw the 6-meter-tall man. He looked completely furious and hungry. He was in front of Issei in less than a second, and the brunette barely had time to react, turning to the side to avoid a hammer blow. After that Issei jumped up and put away his 2 bloody katanas. "Well, I see that you are strong, but that does not matter to me. I will kill you for sure," said Issei. In his left hand celestial rays began to generate, and his most powerful weapon materialized. Short shows. Rank. Alpha++. Damage. 50,750. Skill ability. 1. Dragon Slayer. As an effect with the ability to cause greater damage to dragons or semi-demons. 2. Demon Poisoning. The user of the weapon can poison the one who cuts him. The user can decide which poison to use, lethal or non-lethal, temporary or permanent, paralyzing among other poison effects. The ability to have different types of poisons will increase with the user's intelligence and level. 3. Increased Agility. Increases the wearer's agility by 35% without consuming any money. The percentage increases by 35% every 15 minutes, but at the end of the battle, it will return to the base 35%. 4. Power Release. It releases magical energy from the blade of the sword. It can be used in various ways, such as extending the blade itself, sharpening its edge or making it stronger. It all depends on the creativity of the user of the weapon. Durability. 150,000,000, 150,000,000. Issei used the 4th skill of his sword, which caused magical power in the form of energy to burst out of the blade and form another blade of energy above the original. This one was longer and sharper, which helped Issei keep his distance from the creature that attacked him again. Blocking a claw swipe from the creature, Issei would move to the side and avoid a blast of energy in the form of a laser ray from the creature's mouth, which in the blink of an eye was behind Issei. He just turned around and blocked the incoming attack from the 6-meter being, which threw him back, rising a few centimeters from the ground. Spinning in the air, he landed on his feet, skidding backwards a bit. He braced himself and charged more energy into the blade of his sword, causing it to compress around the blade. After that he activated divine speed and launched himself at the creature, beginning to make several cuts that the creature could barely see. Issei thought he was about to finish it, but he was very surprised when the creature itself held his sword in the last attack. Surprised, he was about to retreat, but the creature held Doku Shapikado tightly, while his body regenerated little by little from the ashes of a fire that was present in his body. Issei didn't wait any longer and created a spell in the shape of a magic circle and pointed it at the monster's torso, firing a bolt of thunder that sent the creature crashing into a support wall, destroying it and causing the building above to crack open. The being. Issei became serious. He was not stupid, and he knew that the battle was not over yet, and so it was, as the creature appeared next to him with its hand surrounded by electric rays. Issei only blocked the attacks with Doku Shapikado and threw himself back, protecting himself with a spell that raised a magic shield in the shape of a magic circle that had other geometric shapes above it. The creature, seeing this, stopped its attack and backed away. It began to walk around Issei, studying him. After that it launched the attack once more, evading the magic shield and going directly against Issei. The same jump upwards, limiting the creature's attack, but Issei did not expect the following. The creature roared again. 2 pairs of dragon wings emerged from its back. A greenish aura with red surrounded the monster, and in less than a blink, it appeared behind a surprised Issei, who could not react in time and was hit, throwing him to crash against the ground, creating a large crater. The creature didn't take even a second and was already on top of Issei, beginning to hit him multiple times at a speed that became faster and more powerful, managing to match Issei's divine speed. He just crossed his arms in an X to at least cover his head, but the monster knew where to attack, so it hit his stomach, straight to the vital organs, causing Issei to lower his guard and vomit blood. After that he poured it, grabbed it and threw it upwards, charging his breath and launching another blast of energy in Issei's direction. The white-haired man couldn't react and received the attack full-on, causing an explosion. The creature roared in victory again. It was evident that it could not sense the magical essences. In case it could, it would have been able to feel how Issei was raising his aura. When the smoke from the explosion faded, it showed Issei, two white and blue dragon wings that had light blue claws on his back, his formerly white sclera, now black with blue veins, along with his neon light bluer eyes and his slit white pupil, seriously looked at the creature. Various attack spells began to appear around Issei, all of different geometric shapes, shining in different colors corresponding to rainbows. Issei just looked at the creature coldly and seriously. He could see his own life bar, seeing that he lost 34% of it, so he stopped playing games and started getting serious. The spells around Issei shone in their respective colors and began to bombard the creature with different attacks, from thunder and lightning to bursts of flames or energy, even attacks of light and darkness. The attacks hit the creature, causing multiple explosions and doing a large amount of damage. When the smoke faded, it showed the creature's shattered body, but Issei could see how it began to regenerate, so quickly going down, he would reach its side and began to draw a spell on the mesh of his hand. It was emerald green with ancient patterns and runes. Above, two hexagons of the same color appeared above, the two rotating in the opposite direction of the other. The white silver-haired man brought his hand closer to the creature's body and placed a spell on it, which caused the creature's body to begin to stop emitting fire and soon stopped regenerating. Issei fell back, sitting on the ground and letting out a sigh. He could feel how the barrier he had hoped to reach was destroyed, and he could feel the Gremory and Citri clan approaching his location. He just let out a sigh and got up tired. After that he created a teleportation spell below his feet, but at that moment both clans arrived where he was. "Identify yourself," Riaz ordered with authority. Issei just looked at her without any interest. "To give me an order you have to be at my Gremory level, something that will never happen," Issei said with an arrogant smile. "Don't you know who I am?" Riaz said, annoyed. "Of course I know, a spoiled and capricious useless girl who needs someone to fight her battles," Issei responded simply. Once the spell was finished it began to shine. "How dare you?" she said, laughing annoyed, creating an attack spell in the form of a magic circle. "I dare, since I am the new Dragon King," Issei said, smiling with pride and arrogance. After that he disappeared through the magic circle at his feet. "So there's someone new who plays the hero like Hyoudou," Euclid said, interested, watching a video of the battle between Issei and the creature. "Mado Hunter, but he had a hard time," said a scientist next to the demon. "Yes, but it is obvious that the evolution and adaptation of the Nomu was not enough. It is obvious that that subject was holding back, and it was not until they cornered him that he released more power, but even so, it is obvious that he did not release all his power. I want you to investigate about him," said Euclid seriously at the end. "Yes, Lucifuge-sama," said the scientist, making some signs to some soldiers. Euclid nodded and began to retreat, but before that. "And by the way, I want you to triple the production of the Nomus. We will need them, even if they are necessary. They can ask for any economic or material resource without limits, as long as they have results," said the Lucifuge, and then left the room. With Issei. He was taking some vitality potions, regenerating the loss, and cleaning his blood stains. "Damn, whatever that thing was, it was powerful. It's been a long time since they took at least 5% of my life. Damn it, you could better get something from its corpse," Issei thought, annoyed. Once he finished with his thing, he changed his appearance to the brown-haired one with golden eyes and went to sleep so he could rest for the next day. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.